Hello and welcome to Virtual HorrorCon 2021, and welcome to the first ever Squeaks in the Deep playtest. For those of you who don't know, my name is Eddy Webb. I am the creator of the Realms of Pugmire, as well as Monarchies of Mao. Squeaks in the Deep is a book that's not out yet, but is a book that worked on specifically to focus on rats and mice, as well as what is called the Underneath, which is the kind of subterranean world beneath both of those cities. So Dixie and our friends here are offered to help out with my playtesting today. So we're going to give this a roll and see how it goes. But first, if everyone could introduce themselves and their pronouns, that would be great. Start with Dwayne.
Oh, sweet. I get to go first. So, hey, everybody. I am Dwayne at Made of Kimchi on the internet, and I am a member of Vorpal Tales. Today, I will be playing the rat ruffian Havardi.
Zachary.
I'm Zachary Naldret, he, him. I am going to be playing Sir Squeaks a lot. Yeah, you can find me on social at Zach Rules.
Ever.
Hey everybody, I'm Ever. My pronouns are they, them, and I am so excited right now to be playing a ratto named Parsley Shorttail.
Nice. Space Lord.
Hey, I'm at Space Lord PJ. Sean, he, him. I'm going to be playing Mango Wisehairs.
Nice. And Dixie.
I'm Dixie Cochran, pronouns she, her, and I'm going to be playing Laszlo Snaptail, and his pronouns are he, him.
Excellent. Before we start, everyone here I know is familiar with Pugmire, but for the audience, the really quick summary is that Pugmire is a game set far in the future of our world. Humanity has disappeared. Maybe they died out. Maybe they went off and became alien space cloud. Nobody really knows. But uplifted animals have been left behind to inherit the Earth. So it's kind of a fantasy, a little bit of sci-fi mixed in setting. It uses a moderately modified version of Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and we're going to be playtesting some rules here that are, again, haven't been seen before yet. Oh yes, and also because this is a playtest, I'm going to try to make this a story and a fun adventure like for any other kind of stream you would see. But because part of this is to test out the rules, there may be moments where I have to kind of fast wind through something to get to another bit I want to test out, or I may stop the action briefly to either explain something or to take notes. This is pretty close to the kinds of environments I would get for late stage playtesting of the game. So if you're not familiar with how playtesting works, this can also be educational for folks who are trying to consider how they playtest their own games and whatnot. So it will maybe a little different tonally, but again, still I'm gonna try to have a lot of fun and give people a chance to play and have a good time. And we're gonna try to shoot for a break about halfway through, so prepared for that as well. Do any of the players have any questions before I dive in? No?
I have a random Pugmire question, actually.
Sure.
Do any of the animals actually eat meat?
Yes.
Dogs and cats do.
So basically, the dividing line at a very rough level for characters is if it talks, you don't eat it. If it doesn't talk, you can eat it.
Cool.
Obviously, there's some wiggle room there, but like, for example, a cow, which as far as most characters know, there's no uplifted version of that. So cows are pretty straightforward meat source. But like even unuplifted dogs and cats, which are called canines and felines respectively, could theoretically also be eaten. So yeah, there's plenty of carnivores, but there are also lots of characters who are omnivores or even vegetarians, vegans, what have you.
Cool. That question has bugged me since I started running this.
No, fair enough. And it's good to kind of talk about a little bit because that leads into what we're going to be playing here. Is that all the uplifted characters, when I talk about dog, cat, rodents, mouse, rat, it is assumed that you are an uplifted character and therefore a person. And so person forward language is going to be pretty common for those. If I talk about animals, I'm specifically talking about non-uplifted characters, so dogs, mice, rats. Squeakers are what we call rodents who have not been uplifted. And it is considered to be kind of it's a cute, dismissive term, like, oh, little squeaker. And of course, occasionally, like all people, the characters in their games may occasionally use that as kind of a mild slur. So calling a dog a canine is like calling a person an ape, something like that. So it's a very mild kind of pejorative. We're not going to get into too much into that, but just be aware that if it's an animal, you can react to it in much the same way that we react to animals, although individual characters can have their own different slants on it, of course. So it's okay to ride a horse. It's okay to domesticate certain animals, so on. The other piece of that is uplifted characters do not have a homogeneous society. And this is where we go into specifically rodent elements. All of you live in Pugmire, which is the city of good dogs. And I'm actually going to throw a map up here real quick. You all work in kind of the quarter here. This is known as the Riverwall quarter, also sometimes the Cat quarter, or occasionally the backyard. The rest of the city of Pugmire is primarily inhabited by dogs. Over time, cats and rodents and even some badgers have come to live in Pugmire, become citizens of Pugmire, but they generally live in this specific quarter, which is by the docks. So it's a, you get off the dock and kind of just set down, and that's where you live. The dogs generally live in Pugmire, in the kingdom of Pugmire. The cats generally live in the monarchies of Mao, hence the names of the various games. Rats and mice don't have a city that they live in. There's rumors that there was a city at one point in time. It's sometimes called the Lost City, where mice and rats actually did live and have a civilization, but that has gone for some reason that has been lost to memory. And so now they live in the margins of other societies. So they live in the monarchies, they live in Pugmire, they live in places like Waterdog Port, but they generally don't have a rodent city of their own. That said, many of them also do move underground and start to try to build cities for themselves underground as opposed to above ground. They live sometimes literally in the margins of other societies. So as a result of that, all of you are considered to be citizens of Pugmire. You don't have a lot of experience underground. Other characters in Pugmire may assume that you have that experience, but in general, you are city rodents. You've lived more or less, at least some portion of your life in Pugmire. You don't necessarily call a city beneath ground your home. And there is some cultural difference between the above ground and underneath rodents. One of the things that all of you are connected to in some way is like I mentioned, the civilization of Riverwall, and particularly you are familiar with what is known as the Grey Souk. In Pugmire, particularly in the southern part of the city, so that's generally where the market and the merchants exist. They have what's called the souk, and that's basically their open air marketplace that happens just about every day. The Grey Souk is your not quite black market. It is where things that are harder to acquire, or perhaps you don't necessarily want to ask around about getting, happens. And unfortunately, it's one of the few areas where the rodents actually have some chance of getting access to a market without having to be concerned about merchants overcharging them or accusing them of something. So over time, the rodents have started to try to acquire control over the Grey Souk. Right now, it is being run by a cat by the name of Felicia the Grey. And Felicia the Grey is definitely a much more predatory and even criminal character in the cat quarter. She is the kind of cat that gives the cat quarter its bad name. Whereas many of the rodents simply want to just make this a more open enterprise so that they can more freely engage in trade. As some rodents in the area, not any of you, but other rodents that you're aware of, have started trying to stand up to, trying to get people invested in this and to slowly move the criminal elements out, many of those merchants have been beaten up by other cats. And this is something that's been drawing your collective attentions. So as we start to get into this, you have heard that the market's going to open again tonight, and a group have decided that you need to kind of take a stand against these thugs that are trying to beat up honest mouse and rat patrons. Take a moment to kind of think about how you want to set in that scene. Because I would quickly mention there's a question in the chat. If a cat lives in Pugmire, are they no longer part of the monarchies? And the answer is yes and no. In much the same way that it's possible to, like, say, be an American but live in, say, Ireland, like I did myself. It's possible to have to live in one place but have a loyalty to another. But certainly there are plenty of cats who either fully devote themselves to Pugmire, and also there are some cats who have changed their allegiance from the monarchies to Pugmire. Same way with rodents as well. A lot of rodents who live in Pugmire firmly believe themselves to be Pugmire citizens, and they're correct. Other rodents live in Pugmire, but their loyalties are maybe to our underground village or to other rodents, or even to rodents overseas. So it's much like in our worlds, allegiance is a personal decision. So, hope that answers your question. And it is getting dark. You are making your way towards the area where the Grey Suit generally opens up. Is there anything in particular any of your characters want to do to try to prepare for this potential encounter? Maybe just some work beforehand. How would you like to approach this?
I think Havarti would do a little bit of maybe a little bit of back investigation to find out, who exactly, maybe, if anyone has seen any of these attacks, maybe give some descriptions.
Okay. Are you planning to investigate via examining the scenes of the attacks, or more asking around?
Or asking around.
Okay, then you can go ahead and make a charisma roll, and you can use persuade as a skill.
Wow, that was awful. Starting out solid. That is after modifiers a 2.
Nice.
After modifiers a 2. So perhaps unsurprisingly, no one's really eager to talk to someone who's randomly asking questions about people getting beat up because they're worried that more being beat up may occur. So they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened, and then scurrying off.
Is it possible? Can I have Mango kind of set up in the area where they're gonna hold the market and just sort of observe anybody that might look suspicious, or like a gang roaming around or something like that?
Sure. Let's see. This could be probably a wisdom check. You can use a search as a skill, or other skills you think might be relevant.
Notice, just to sort of try to like spot.
Notice is much more kind of instinctual, out of the corner of your eye. Hey, that's weird thing. This is more an intentional observation, so search is going to be more relevant.
Ooh, that's not great. That is that's a 11.
Okay. So the people who are handling this aren't really trying too hard to hide themselves. They're not necessarily broadcasting, hey, we're criminals here to beat up all you honest merchants. But all I needed was a 10 to notice that there are certainly a handful of cats who all seem to be wearing dark gray armbands, and all of them look, they're wearing armor and have maces and the like, so they definitely look like they're cats looking for trouble.
Cool.
Is there a particular spot in the Grey Suit that the attacks have been happening?
Not necessarily, although if you want to make an intelligence roll using no culture as a skill, you might be able to make some deductions.
All right. Do not have no culture, so.
That's fine. You just make a straight intelligence roll.
15.
Okay. There's not really a concentration of where the attacks are. You kind of pace around and get a sense of the area, but rather there's almost a kind of a gap or a blank spot in where the attacks happen. It looks like they generally happen because the gray souk is much like the souk in Pugmire. There's a big open space near the docks, and so everyone sets up there. And so the docks themselves, the north part of the docks, the southern part of the docks, all that seems where a lot of the assaults have been happening. And part of the reason why you're investigating is because for some reason the police dogs just can't seem to get witnesses to come forward, even though it's clearly happening almost in quote unquote broad daylight. But the western side of that area seems to be suspiciously there's lack of attacks happening in that area, and that is relatively close to where some cats have set up businesses, which strikes you as a bit odd. You would think maybe if all these cats are in together on this would be a more common place for it, but it seems like there's actually a strange gap there.
I would like to look for various escape routes, possibly hidden alleyways that the attackers might utilize to disappear faster, or if we run into them, something we can use.
You don't have to make a rule. This area is riddled with alleyways. A lot of this area was originally built up very quickly when Pugmire opened up trade with Waterdog Port and the monarchies of Mao. So a lot of people moved here very quickly. And so there's a lot of buildings built on top of each other and very close to each other to try to get as many people crammed into this section city as possible. So as a result, naturally, lots of meandering alleyways kind of evolved from that. It required a royal order a few decades ago to actually say, okay, don't build these areas so we can actually build streets to get caravans through and the like. So there are a couple of there's like literally the main street called Main Street and the like, but everything off of that, it can be a normal road, it can be a small sidewalk, it can be maybe you have to slide sideways to get through. So it is extremely easy for a group of people to just scatter and get lost in the maze. Okay. So the time is approaching for the Reisuk. Merchants start showing up, laying out their wares, and it's usually a fairly, unlike the souk proper in Pugmire, which is a very cacophonous affair, people wanting to scream over top of each other and talk about how amazing their things are, playing music and whatever the attention. This is a much more subdued affair. It's still vibrant, but it's much more people talking at normal volume. There are some merchants who have their wares openly displayed, some who are much more of they have them covered, and some even don't seem to have any wares. You have to make a private arrangement with them, and no one really asks a lot of questions. But even then, prior to this time, the energy was always pretty high. People were there to buy and sell things, and it was pretty okay. But now the whole temper of the merchants are pretty subdued. They're keeping to themselves. Some of them, especially the rodents, are particularly twitchy, nervous, and the like. So how do you want to scatter amongst the crowd and look like patrons? Do you want to cluster together and look like an opposing force? Some other tactic? How would you as a group want to sell yourself into the market?
Oh my God.
That's a good question.
You're being devoured.
Oh man.
As the sun comes out and goes, it changes the light. It's not great. Anyway, I'll fix it in a minute. But I think that Laszlo would actually want to kind of let the merchants know, like he would be going merchant to merchant and just saying like, you don't need to fear today. It's okay. Laszlo is here. I'm Laszlo Snaptail, and I once killed a bear with my bare hands, and so me and my friends will keep you safe. So you should let us know if anything happens.
Make a charisma roll. I'll give you advantage because they kind of want to believe you.
That would be math works. 16.
Okay. you start kind of talking yourself up. It's like, I'll protect. I'm Laszlo. I killed a bear with my bare hands. I took off the bear and put it on my hands because now they're bare hands.
I took the scarf off the Badger King.
Right. And they are like, oh, thank you, Laszlo. Wait, I have heard so much about you. They haven't heard of you before, but I have heard so much about you, and thank you so much that that we have someone, a rodent of your stature to be able to protect us. How tall is Laszlo, by the way?
Very small.
Okay, good.
Laszlo is a very tiny black mouse.
Okay. So the crowd's starting to pick up. And at the last rodent you're talking to, you're getting ready to walk away, and then you feel a tap on your shoulder. You turn around and you see a large Maine Coon, big fluffy cat with a gray armband around her arm. It's like, you need to go.
I live here.
I don't care. You're causing problems here, and Felicia doesn't like that.
I am a free mouse, and I just want to exercise my right to protect my people if they need it. You know about the bad things that have been going on.
Oh, I know. We are the bad things. And she reaches for a mace, and some other cats start coming out of the crowd. I'm going to say the rest of your rodent friends are also nearby, so you can kind of scurry up to the conflict.
Yeah, I am drawing my sword.
Okay. So everyone can go ahead and roll initiative. As you're doing that, I want to talk to both you and the crowd a little bit. All rodents ultimately have some form of psychic abilities, psionics. They don't use magic, they use psionics instead, because rodents believe in science and very important scientific things. And science is in very heavy quotes and much more capitalized science rather than what we recognize as science, but they believe it to be true. A lot of rodents try to keep the fact that most rodents have psionics or psychic powers on the down low. Because they find that it helps to cause people to underestimate them. Not all rodents agree with this. So, and it's not like there's some kind of universal masquerade where it's like you'll be punished if you use your powers in public. Rather, it's more of a it's just not done kind of.
That's a silly idea. What game would ever have that in it?
Right. I mean, I think it's silly, but other people may want to play a game that involves some kind of veil. I don't know what you call it. So you're in a public place. Most of the people here are also rodents, but there are some non-rodents who are going to be visible, dogs and cats. So as all of you do have psionic powers, you may use them or not use them as you see fit. As with Pugmire, the only roll I need is the highest roll. So let me roll for them real quick. Can anyone beat 20? It looks like everyone.
No one can.
I don't think so.
At a 15.
Okay. So then the Moggies are going to go first. And since, as far as they know, it is only this renowned hero, Laszlo, that is the problem. The other 4 cats are just going to kind of sit back and watch because they think this is going to be like 5 seconds of fight. So all of them are basically just going to not even hold their action. They're just going to forego their action so that they can laugh at what they believe is going to be a very quick conflict. But the one who tapped Laszlo on the shoulder, she is going to attack with her mace. And she rolls a 4. So she's so overconfident that she just kind of swings down and miscalculates Laszlo's diminutive stature, shall we say. And so the mace just sails right over Laszlo's head. And so in Pugmire, initiative goes, after initiative, the first person goes, they choose who goes next until the end of the round. So the Moggy, only thinking Laszlo is here, is going to say that Laszlo goes next.
I will have at her.
Okay.
And I will swing my sword. That is sorry. That's a 12 to hit.
That is exactly how much you need.
Woo!
So your sword lacerates. Go ahead and roll your damage.
I have not used D&D dice in so long. I keep kind of being like, wait, which dice? What do I do?
Every other game you play is D10s. So.
Or D6s, as was the case last night.
Right.
5 damage.
All right.
I wish
you
the sun
do-
would pick a thing.
you very heavily damage the cat. Go ahead and describe kind of what your attack looks like.
Since she did kind of whip her mace at me, I feel totally justified just going for it. So I lunge forward with my sword and I get her probably in the thigh.
Wait, then she screams and with her her free paw just clamps down on the thigh and is like, "You little." You get to decide who goes next.
I am going to say that Mango goes next, just because I like saying the word mango.
I do too. Cool. Is it possible to attack the other cats just to sort of
Yes.
get the drop on them? Awesome.
Yes. There are 2 more black cats and a gray cat and a white cat.
Cool. Mango is gonna walk up to the white cat and say, wise mouth say you should always be prepared. And
Nice.
he doesn't care that he is psionic, so he's gonna activate his burst of electricity, which like his fur will stand on end, and there's this weird like citrusy smell that goes along with it.
For everyone's read a bit, what all psionics involve what's called a tell, and so each character makes their own tell when they use their powers, and it's something that everyone can perceive.
Are they wearing metal armor?
No, they're wearing leather.
Leather? Okay, cool. In that case, I did roll a 20.
Ooh.
Yeah. Cool. So
You don't sound enthused.
Is it
No.
a natural or unnatural 20?
it is a natural 20. The funny thing is I was just rolling 2 dice stupidly and they both rolled 20s and I took a picture of it. So, you know.
Clearly it was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
This cat needs to go.
This cat needs to
yeah,
go.
You can roll double damage.
Double damage.
Double number of dice. So double the number of dice you roll.
That is 11.
Wow. Okay. Describe how you take out this cat with your abilities.
So just reaches out and barely touches them, like I'm not touching you sort of thing, and an arc of electricity just bolts into them.
Oh. And the cat just hair shoots out on end and slumps to the ground.
Nice.
And the other cats are like, whoa. So they're very shocked by this.
Literally.
Who goes next?
Because I like saying Havarti.
Everybody loves cheese.
Everybody does love cheese.
So seeing the act that Mango just put on, Havarti never wants to be one-upped.
Mm.
So he will have to come up behind one of the black cats. I'll just kind of tap him on the shoulder and wait until he totally turns around and then just swing flail.
Nice. I'll let you go ahead and roll with advantage, because the cat is not going to be expecting a flail to the face. I mean, who would really?
God, I'm rolling horribly today. That's a 10.
And we stole all of your 20s. That is not going to hit. I do mention to the group that you do have 2 fortune available if you want to ask the group if they'd like to spend it at this time.
No, I will allow someone else to use it.
Okay. So the flail, the cat turns around and you swing the flail up and it kind of just, it does catch on the chest of the leather armor, but it just really kind of scuffs and scrapes across. It doesn't penetrate at all. So the cat just manages to take a half step back at the right moment. But you can decide who goes next, Parsley or Sir Squeaks a lot.
Oh. We'll go with Parsley.
Okay.
My Red Ho friend.
Hearing Sir Squeaks a lot out loud just kind of threw me off there. That was great.
The best things about this game is how like you're having these very serious fight scenes with people that have like animal names.
Right.
Oh goodness. So Parsley Shorttail is gonna just go up and being the brainy rat that they are, You know, if you attack someone that's a proclaimed hero in front of everyone else, then everyone else is probably going to really resent you, and then they're gonna like they're gonna group up and they're gonna try and attack you too. And so you're just making yourselves look bad. I mean, you already look bad because you're bad guys, but you're really gonna like give yourself a really bad reputation. Like, not even like people aren't gonna be scared of you. They're just be like, you're a coward because you're attacking a very small mouse, and a very small mouse is a lot stronger than you because obviously they took down a bear. And I apologize.
No, that's amazing.
And at the same time, I would like to use Insightful Strike,
Okay.
which is selecting the character, brief insight into the target's defenses. And then on my next turn, I'll gain advantage on the first attack roll against the target, provided the spell hasn't ended.
And what does your characters tell when they use their psychic powers?
So I'm going to block out contacts because that's how my character's eyes look, but their eyes would flood red out from the center and become that bright pink color that lab rats would normally have. And you smell a combination of fresh cut grass and seeds.
Okay.
Everybody
So you
at this
start.
party smells amazing.
Yeah, you start just chattering at this cat, and the cat just is like, what is this mouse talking or rat talking to me about? And then just sees your eyes change, and the cat's a little disconcerted. So they're going to be a little kind of off their game, which is going to be your advantages because you recognize that as you're chattering, your mind's analyzing in a kind of Sherlock Holmes, birds flying by, checking out where it is, and you realize that they're basically all the cats are bullies, and so anyone who doesn't cower in front of them, they just don't know how to deal with that, and so you get a momentary advantage by just standing up to them. So there you go. That leaves Sir Squeaks a lot. You are the end of the rotation.
From my understanding, there is one of the cats that has not been engaged with yet.
There is a gray cat and a black cat who's not been engaged with yet.
All right. So I will come up behind one on the end and from kind of just take it out at the knees with my rapier.
Okay. The direct approach. Go ahead and make your roll attack.
20, not natural.
Okay, that is definitely enough to hit. Go ahead and roll your damage. Let's see how much it is.
That is 4 damage.
Okay. The cat is moderately wounded, so describe how your attack takes place.
So just basically sneaking up behind him and kind of trying to just take him right out at the knee.
Okay.
So that he falls down is the intended goal.
I'll also give him a disadvantage if he tries to run next time. And that was the gray cat, right?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So it is next round. You can decide who goes next, including the non-player characters. You can choose yourself if you want to and finish off this cat, or you can pick somebody else to go.
I'm gonna let Havarti go first so that they can make an attack to redeem and get better dice.
Redeem myself. So seeing that, yes, Havarti seeing that his physical attack was subpar, he will stare almost blankly at the black cat that he was engaging.
Mm-hmm.
You see a ripple start to come around his forehead. His ears point up. The hair on his ears kind of go up. You smell the smell of Limburger cheese, not Havarti, unfortunately. And a little bit of
back what I said about this party smelling good.
And a warble shoots out from his mind. I will use Mental Ray.
Okay. I believe Mental Ray is a roll to hit, yes?
It is.
So you would use your psionic affinity plus your proficiency bonus. Hang on a second. There's one more thing I need to add. Let me double check.
That should be
Yes, it's just
yeah.
your psionic ability modifier and your proficiency bonus plus d20.
That is better. That is an 18.
Okay, that is enough to hit. And I will say you're attacking a black cat. That is not the one that's Parsley had deduced.
Yeah, it was the one that I tried to hit.
Right.
Yeah, so that's 8. That was max damage on that one.
Okay.
Nice.
The cat is nearly vanquished, so you can describe how that goes.
So hopefully the mind, my mental ray would have been a. Oh, it says psychic damage. Never mind.
Right. So yeah, so it's the actual ray is invisible. But I mean, the smell still kind of flows into the area, but then probably grabbing their head and like, "Arr."
I rack his mental brain with cheese hitting his psyche.
He's like, I'm in pain and suddenly very hungry. I don't know why. Okay, Havarti, who goes next? Source Quick Slot is someone you can choose as well.
You know what? I am going to allow the cat that was engaging Laszlo.
Or
Okay.
just the cats as a group, right?
Yeah, the cats are all gonna be one group, so it's like all the cats.
Okay.
Fair
Let's
enough.
see what they do.
So let's see. Let's go through here. One of the cats is unconscious. We'll say unconscious. That's probably the nicest way to say that. The cat attacking Laszlo is really just can't believe this is happening, and so they're gonna try to take another stab at swinging down onto Laszlo's head with a 5 because I'm rolling like garbage. And because they have the ability of nimble escape, she's going to disengage as a bonus action. So basically, she swings down with her mace, misses again. It's like, I'm done with this, and just takes a step back out of Laszlo's attack range. The gray cat, who is a little discombobulated, I'm actually going to make a quick roll to see. Okay, no, they are going to stick to attacking this strange mouse that keeps babbling. So they're going to pull out their mace and attack with a 9. So Parsley's kind of just talking and finally the gray is like, stop! And Parsley just, but no, seriously, it just keeps going. Mice, rats, all of you. The one that Havarti blasted is going to check to see if they want to stick around. They do not want any of this. Whatever this strange rodent just looked at them and suddenly their brain exploded as far as they know. So they're going to use their bonus action, disengage, and then their move to run. They're just fleeing. So unless anyone chases after that black cat, they are going to leave next round. And then the one that's unscathed, the one that's the most obvious threat actually would probably be Squeaks a lot because of the hamstringing that happens. So they're going to spin and try to attack you. I'm seriously rolling 3s and 4s right now. These clearly are not very good enforcers. Obviously, Felicia got these bargain basement thug store because they don't even know how to use their maces. It seems they just keep swinging wildly. They're used to much softer prey, as it were.
Yeah, they just been beating up merchants now. Like some people that actually know how to use a sword show up. They're like,
Right, because I mean, why waste money on talent when you're beating up 50-year-old rats for their cheese? So it's why bother. So the cats are going to choose Parsley to go.
So anyway, if you're calling me a rat or a mouse, that's fine. I don't really care. We're very, very closely related. If you look at this genetically, we're totally related. Anyway, as long as you don't call me a ferret, because ferrets are related to mustelids. They're not actually rodents at all. Oh, I was doing something right. And Parsley's gonna pull their dagger.
Okay.
And using that insight, looking up the exact word.
Insightful
the
strike.
insightful strike. See where it is best to jab at them.
So roll 2d20s, pick the highest one. Roll with advantage.
A 16 and then a nat 20.
Wow. Go ahead, roll double your damage dice. I suspect this cat is not long for this world.
Because she's got that 4-pound die.
Yeah, you're- the sound of the cat
As-
falling to the ground.
D4. That is the math.
That is a math. Yes, it is in fact a math.
So I
Math.
rolled a 2. The roll is +3. That's 5. Oh no, it's damage. Sorry.
So 4.
Yes,
You rolled a 2,
1d4
4 damage.
+1.
Right. And you roll, and you can roll d4 again and add that as well.
I got the same thing.
Okay. How would you like to dispatch this cat?
So the moves with the daggers, I'm going to slice off the whiskers. You are at a disadvantage.
Indeed.
And then jab at thee.
You're going to humiliate the cat and then dispatch it. Wow. Okay. When you do so, you cut the whiskers off and the cat's like, oh, and then you stab as soon as it puts the paws up and slumps to the ground. So who goes next? You have one one black cat running away, one black cat attacking Sir Squeaks a lot, and one Mancoon still attacking Laszlo.
Does Laszlo get to go yet?
Not yet.
Okay, Laszlo.
Okay, so she disengaged from Laszlo, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so he's gonna just stand up straight and look very indignant and say, "Not so fast! I promised you we would be fighting about this, and I'm going to dispatch you. And I killed a bear once, and yes, and then he's going to use mental ray.
Okay.
Everybody else is using their shit, so he's like, "Yeah, why not? I might as well
Yeah, why
scare
not?
these cats, right?"
What is your tell?
My tell. Wait, I have a question about that actually. Is there
Sure.
always a scent? Because everybody has a scent going on. I
No,
don't
it's
have a
just everyone
scent.
seems to be
Yeah.
making sense. It could be,
Okay, all right.
it's a visual thing. It could be a sense. It can be sound.
All right, so you all hear a crack as Laszlo's tail snaps like a whip.
Ooh, nice.
It makes a very loud whip sound. So that's his last name, Laszlo Snaptail.
Ah, I see.
Ah, I picked that on purpose. And then a beam of like gray energy goes out from his forehead.
Okay.
That's what it described. 14 plus 5. 19.
Oh, that definitely works.
Yeah. Sorry, I like 8 things open right now. Really should.
Yeah, no worries. We're all still sorting through this.
6.
What was it?
6 psychic damage.
Okay. How would you like to dispatch this cat?
I want to just scare him or her. I want to scare her into not coming back here and not messing with mice in the future. So like, I want her to be knocked unconscious, and when she gets up or as wakes up in the future, I just want to like kind of try to leave that imprinted on her mind.
So I'm
tougher
gonna
than
say
we are.
that she immediately has an irrational fear of rodents and basically curls up in a ball because there are now a whole bunch of rodents surrounding her all of a sudden, and so she's catatonic on the ground.
Catatonic.
Catatonic.
Aha.
Yeah. In case of viewers haven't recognized, this is my game is 90% animal puns, so just be aware
Yeah.
of that.
And then, like, as right that happens, Laszlo will kind of just like do the hero pose and look at the merchants and say, "I have saved you, fair people of the Grey Souk. We're gonna
Who
be
gets to go
okay
next?
now."
Well, there's still one
Um,
cat left that's attacking Sir Squeaks a lot.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Who do we have left to go? Sir Squeaksalot and Mango.
And Mango, yep.
Let's go with Sir Squeaksalot since he's currently under attack.
Okay.
Going to since it's probably not tall enough to kind of land anything above the chest area, just gonna kind of hack at the cat's chest, just
Okay.
a broad smack across the leather armor that the cat is probably wearing.
Fair enough.
Just from conversations I think me and Eddie have had, I think that mice range from like rodents range from like what 3 feet to 4.5 feet, 5 feet.
Yeah, they're still on average smaller than cats, but
Right.
more like a head shorter usually.
Yeah, just so you know, you're probably like halfling size, not like
Okay,
you know, pixie sized.
It's still not gonna like try to decapitate the poor cat. It just wants to, give him a good whack. And I rolled a 16.
That is enough to hit. Go ahead and roll your damage and see how that works.
That is a 6.
Okay. You've heavily wounded the cat, so go ahead and describe how that goes.
So after kind of he's just hacks into him with a rapier, and just kind of is moving into him, trying to like still kind of like knock him down and put him on his butt.
Okay. The cat stumbles from your attack, but doesn't quite fall down. But certainly, you've gotten through his defense and did a moderate amount of damage. So that leaves Mango. You have one cat that's fleeing and one that is still dealing with Sir Squeaks a lot.
Mango's gonna chase after the cat that's fleeing and call out to him like, "I do declare, son, why are you leaving so quickly? The party is just getting started." And hit him with, how do you say this word? Bilious touch? Bilious touch?
Bilious touch.
Bilious touch.
Oh, yeah, it's nasty.
24 to hit.
Whew. Yeah, that does it.
And-
And Bilious touch is a power that requires them to be previously injured, so that certainly works.
Yes, and rolled a 3 for damage. So he's
Okay.
just gonna reach out and try to touch him, and then like the citrusy scent's kind of a little rotten because it's necrotic damage, and just put his hand on his back and do the damage to him.
The open wounds start to kind of boil and fester, and the cat falls to its knees and slumps to the ground.
Nice.
I'm gonna be pedantic English major for a minute here. It's bilious.
Is it bilious? Okay.
Bilious.
No, thank you. I thought it was bilious.
Yeah, no,
I actually have a quick question on that power, Eddie, if
Sure.
you don't mind.
No, by all means.
So the description says on a successful melee attack, you deal 1d6 points of necrotic to the target that is missing any of its stamina. Because you're hitting with a melee attack, does the melee attack cause damage and then it's an additional 1d6 of necrotic?
No, the melee attack is basically a touch attack. You have to do a melee attack to touch them and do damage. So they have to have been damaged separately first. Now, if you have some access to multiple attacks, you can do something like attack them, cut them open, then hit them with bilious touch.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, the melee attack itself, instead of attack, does necrotic damage.
Gotcha.
So it is round 3. I think everyone wins. So Mango, there's only one cat left who's attacking Sir Squeaks a lot. Who would like to go first?
Mango will let Sir Squeaks a lot handle their business.
Finish your business.
Okay, so at this point, I'm just going to like try to trip him so that he is actually falling on the ground, and and ideally, if it happens, to move in to kind of threaten him. So
go ahead and make a it's a strength roll, basically an attack roll. But I'll give you advantage because you did cut their tendon earlier, so they're not going to be steady on their feet.
14.
Okay. Let me go ahead and roll their dexterity. I don't roll above 5s today. So yes, they now have the prone condition and are down on the ground. I think we can safely call the combat over because this cat, if it tries to fight back, is not going to have a good run of it. So it's going to surrender, and we're out of combat. So you have 3 cats that are unconscious and or possibly dead, 1 cat who is horribly traumatized, and 1 cat who is on the ground.
Gonna menacingly hold the rapier, pointing at the one on the ground. Who do you work for?
No, sorry. Look, we just worked for Felicia. She just wanted us to here. Listen, I have something that you can have it. It's a valuable map. Look, I'm just gonna reach into my armor to pull this map out and give it to you, and then we'll just call it square. Just leave me be. And starts to reach inside of its armor. Are you gonna stop him?
I'm not going to stop him.
Okay. He pulls out. Looks like a piece of parchment rolled up, and kind of just throws it, so he doesn't look like he's doing anything. And you pick it up, and it looks like a really rough map. It's very clearly half a map. It looks like the parchment was split at some point, and so you have like the left half of it. But the map does lead to a location known as Mr. Meow's Grooming, which is a location here in the cat quarter, and is also part of that area where you noticed that the attacks weren't happening.
Is there more to this map?
All I know is Felicia told us to try to scare the rodents and to make sure that we had a copy of the map in case we found the other half. That's all. That's all I know.
Okay, I'm just going to take your weapon so that you don't try to use this against any other good mice.
Yeah. I hate maces. I don't even know how to use one. Just take it. So you take the mace off, and it's basically just a lump of metal on the end of a stick. It's not even a particularly good mace. It does the job, but it's not well made.
And I'll back away from him, kind of sheathing my rapier, and giving him some space.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of speed things along unless there's anything that anybody absolutely wants to do. I'm
Laszlo does take a minute to like jump up on a barrel or a crate or something, and proclaim their victory for the good people.
Oh no, Laszlo is now the hero of the one, obviously the leader of this band of rodents, and so Laszlo and his merry rodents are now like folk heroes of the cat quarter. And so they're like, yay, hooray! Some of you notice that there are a couple of dog kind of on the dog merchants in the outskirts, who they seem happy, but also kind of like muttering amongst themselves. And a couple of them are sniffing very heavily. So it may be some of these strange odors of the conflict may have drawn their attention. But regardless, you make your way to Mr. Meow's. And I did, okay. Mr. Meow's is a groomer shop. It looks much like this. Mr. Meow is the wonderful cat right here in the center. All of you know Mr. Meow's grooming. It is the foremost groomers in the cat quarter. In fact, an unusually high number of noble dogs actually come out to Mr. Meow's to have their hair groomed. So it's one of those bits of high culture inside the cat quarter. Also, it is kind of an open secret that Mr. Meow has some kind of vaguely unspecified shady contacts. Mr. Meow is a cat where you can get things done or get information in a way that is discreet, but no one seems to know exactly what the services entail. But Mr. Meow is a cat of merchants. They don't have, he doesn't have a particular allegiance to cats or dogs or rodents or anything. He apparently likes money and likes doing a good job and likes to be a good groomer. But of course, when directly questioned, he's like, no, I am just groomer. Also, he has a very thick Korat accent, the monarchy of Korat, which sounds obviously fake. So understand, I'm not doing a bad accent. The character is doing a bad accent. So you go inside and you see, cats grooming and dogs getting their hair done. And Mr. Meow comes up and is like, rodents friends, I do not have very many rodent customers. Please come in. What can I do for you? Trim off the top? Can I brush your fur? What can I do for you? Ear trim? I can do ear trim. Yes, of course, I can do ear trim. No, I'm not cut off here. No, I am not butcher. I am just simply, trim the hair around so that your ears look beautiful and fun and fluffy.
uh, so we need to talk to you.
Oh, is this business conversation? Is this private conversation?
Private conversation, yes.
Of course. Boris points to one of their cats. He goes, "Yeah, boss." It's like, "You take care of the shop." And he's like, "Yeah, I know, take care of the shop. I know." It's like, "Okay, come, friends, come, friends." And it takes you towards, it's this like a little back counter here. He takes you back around there, and there's a small corridor there that's conveniently the lanterns seem to be out here in this area, and he takes you to a small private office, and it's basically just a small room big enough for all of you and him, and he has a small kind of pull down desk against one wall so he can have a writing surface on there, and a couple of crates stacked up. So it's a very modest office, but it is far away from the rest of the groomer shop, and also very heavy stone walls, so it's going to be very hard for people to listen in. And he goes, "Come, friends. I'm sorry I do not have chairs here, but we could talk in privacy here. So what can Mr. Meow do for you?"
Well, we're trying to figure out why those cats under Felicia have been attacking the Gray Sook, and also we found this for Squeaks a lot. Will you show him? Thank you.
Here's this map.
And
But
he goes,
this was on one of the cats that was attacking
Felicia.
people.
And he spits on the ground. He's like, she is no good. I do not like that cat whatsoever. She is very bad cat. But this map, let me see." And he rolls up and he goes, "Ah, I had been wondering when this would show up. Let us be frank, shall we say.
Mango,
Felicia wishes to acquire my half of the map. And when I told her I would do no such thing, she threatens cats in my employment. And I told her this would be a big problem with other cats. And suffice to say, the politics of the monarchies are complicated, let us say. I will not bore you with details. But Felicia realized that going after dogs would attract the attention of the police dogs. And so instead, she decided to go after the rodents, unfortunates, those of your population, in order to pressure me into giving her my half of the map. And they have been difficult to current whenever I send my able-bodied associates, shall we say, to deal with them. They skitter off and run. So this is good news. If you have dealt with these ruffians, that is a huge favor for me, and I will pay you in kind. And he opens up one of the crates and pulls out another scroll, and it looks like it maps up identically to the one you have. And he goes, "There it is. If you go down the other corridor, there is a private entranceway that I sometimes use to discreetly bring in certain individuals of interest. It leads to the underground. But one of the cats who owes me a favor had found something of interest in the underground that perhaps could be very profitable. Rumors are there are huge mounds of plastic just waiting to be scooped up by your paws and brought in. It is a bit dangerous, which is why I and your merchants could not possibly have gone out myself to acquire it. So I had asked Felicia to perhaps arrange to organize an expedition in exchange for my funding. She decided she would rather try to acquire the whole enterprise for herself. This led to a disagreement amongst us. The map went its separate ways due to a conflict, and this is where we are now. If you are willing to engage in this exploration, I will give you the lion's share, as we say in my people, of the money that is acquired. I simply ask for a small amount of plastic, maybe 13%, so to cover my previous expenses, and also to help with the medical expenses of some of those who have come afoul of Felicia. In exchange, the rest can be yours to use as you see fit amongst rodent kind, or to simply use as you desire. I do not know what rodents like. You like cheese, I suppose. You could buy cheese with it if you wish.
That's a stereotype. And
I
that's offensive.
apologize. I do not wish to be offensive.
Do you like
Yes, a
cheese,
very
though?
small one.
Parsley does indeed raise their hand very timidly, very quietly.
Yeah, yes, you.
So plastic isn't really all that much of interest to me. I really want to look at the map. I want to see how old it is. I want to see who created it. I want to see about like the location. I want to see. I want to know the history behind the map. Like I don't care about plastic. You can have my plastic. I don't really care. I mean, I guess I need a little plastic for living, but I don't need that much. But also I really prefer seeds over cheese, and that's totally fine. But actually, I'll eat anything. So I'm pretty easy to make happy. But I would really like to know more about like you and your family. I want to learn about your heritage, and I want to learn about your kingdoms. I want to learn about any other like artifacts that you might have. Like this map is really cool, and I'd like to learn it and study it. And I want to see like I wonder who created it. Who do you think created it? Is it to treasure?
Parsley,
It's
parsley, parsley. You're overwhelming the poor cat.
Yeah, Mr. Mal was like taking a step back.
You know,
And
we love you and we love hearing you talk. But you remember, cats aren't used to that. Cats have their whole secret thing going on.
Oh, right.
Breathe, son.
apologies.
Take a breath or two when you talk.
Okay.
I
That's it.
will.
Yes.
I like knowledge.
I will happily answer a percentage of your questions after if you do this for me. I will schedule an afternoon. We will have tea, and you can ask me questions, and I can teach you about elocution and some a cadence of speech, perhaps that might help for you in future.
Sure.
Excellent. Then, please take the map. I will lead you to the entrance and then take the map with my blessing. And I hope things go well for you. And if not, I will pray for you as it need be. Come, let's go. And I just kind of lead
Perhaps you have little cheddar that you could help us, make sure we're all geared up and properly motivated and equipped for this expedition of yours.
What kind of gear would you be needing?
Just make sure we got everything that we need. Just normal expedition supplies, that kind of
For Squeaks a lot, are you implying that Laszlo is unprepared for anything?
I of course am not, and my apologies to you if you took it that way, Laszlo. But there may be things that we might not all be prepared for that could be in this unknown area that we're going into.
It's just the underneath.
Parsley will need copious amounts of seeds.
Indeed.
So Mr. Ground goes, I have the old supplies that I was going to give to, or shall I say, sell to Felicia and her group. So you could certainly use as many of those as you wish.
Thank
but they're by the entrance, so I will show you where they are.
Okay.
And he takes you down some rough stone stairs, and the original kind of hallway you're in was again heavy stone blocks like a building, but as he takes you through and then down, you start to move into what's more of a rough-hewn tunnel. And as you go in, near the bottom of the stairs, there's an alcove. It's kind of dug out, so it's like a small landing area. There is a heavy door that's been barred, and next to it is another crate. And inside the crate, there are torches, there are rations, water, rope, any kind of mundane adventuring supplies you might want. You can feel free to add an additional thing or two onto your rucksack if you like. Just let me know what you want. I'll let you know if it's inside the crate.
Havarti will take a couple of torches.
Okay. Definitely torches in there. Is there anything else anybody wants?
Definitely going to take some rations and rope.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Rations and torch.
Okay. Rations of rope, rations of torches, those are fine.
If there's any like small toolkits and lockpick or anything like that.
Yes, there is definitely a lockpick kit. They're expecting to deal with things that are locked.
Grabbing one of those.
Okay. Parsley, is there anything you want?
Is there anything to make explosives
Um,
or traps? making traps.
There is a couple of like kind of big metal claws with teeth. You can get one of those. And there are some there's like oil and the like for lanterns. So there's some bits and pieces. It's not quite enough to cobble together a full explosive trap.
Especially because
But
gunpowder is like a really rare thing.
Yeah, gunpowder
in the
is relatively
kingdoms.
rare. Partially because anytime anyone uses gunpowder, all uplifted animals or uplifted people have to. It's called gunpowder panic, where they get really scared and try to get rush off because of the loud noise.
Yeah, I
So
remember that from Pirates of Pugmire.
Exactly, right. It's from Pirates of Pugmire. So it's not something that has a lot of use. Explosives generally are much more on on a much more smaller level. But you can make a petroleum-based explosive out of the oil and like on there. But again, you have to get other bits and chemicals. Maybe you come across some later, but if nothing else, at least the oil will burn.
Yeah, essentially anything that I can cobble together to use in a situation that, like, say we come across a cave-in that we need to like take care of rocks, or someone starts pursuing us and we need to leave something to trip them up.
Yeah, I'll say you can get enough supplies for something like the latter. The former is going to be double. I mean, as a scientist, basically it's kind of like trying to make something out of someone's pantry. So it's theoretically doable, but scientifically dubious and really irritating to accomplish.
Valid.
Do I need any of those types of supplies for my knack trapper?
I'm going to say that you acquire unspecified supplies that allow you to do that. Yes.
All right.
And for people listening with Pugmire, things like equipment tend to be a little narratively vague for situations exactly like this. You have some stuff, and then if it becomes relevant, you make the appropriate roll, then you have the thing that you can do to do the thing. It is important to track light sources, food, and water underground. We're not going to get into those mechanics in a depth in this playtest because we only have a few hours, but recognize that for longer Squeaks and Deeps Chronicles, those are going to become important.
There is one more thing I'd like to ask.
Okay.
If I can notice the region that we're going in and beforehand study like the flora and fauna as well as water resources and stuff like that.
Okay, you can make an intelligence roll. No nature, if you have that.
I have no history, but that
It's not going to be really relevant to this.
that was intelligence.
What are you rolling, Ever?
I have metal dice. And I love them so much from my partner. Okay, so that was 16 plus 19 total.
Okay. This area it's not ancient, but it's certainly old. It is probably a little younger than Pugmire as a whole, but it was probably carved around the time Pugmire was founded. You know that Pugmire was originally literally a mire. It was a swamp that was drained and eventually built on top of. And a couple of the original buildings didn't quite work out, but eventually they found enough stability underneath all of it, perhaps built on the remains of previous buildings, to actually create a kingdom. So during that time, digging underground would have been a suicide mission. You would have been drowned by it. But after it got drained, you know that some rodents had started building out underneath Pugmire. This might be some of that early rodent excavation. So this is, it's intellectually interesting. It's not to the level of, I have to write a paper about this interesting, but it's that's kind of cool. I recognize it's what it is.
Parsley will share this with the group. So I'm gonna talk slower.
You don't have to talk slower around us, Parsley. We're all used to you.
That's true. Okay, so I found out that where we're going is probably going to be like really, really early rodent excavation. So we might actually find artifacts that belong to our people. I'm very, 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 very excited about that.
That would be amazing. We'd be heroes among rodent kind.
I heard old.
Yeah.
Which is good enough for me.
Okay, so you start to make your way in. You unbar the door. Door opens up. Mr. Meow stays so he can bar the door after you. And he says, "I will have a cat down here to listen. You just knock on the door. We will open it up for you. But we have to make sure nothing creepy crawly comes up here. I'm sure you will be fine." And then closes the door.
Creepy crawlers.
Um,
There's creepy crawlers down here.
and you start to make your way down. Does anybody not have dark vision? It would be one of your tricks. Okay.
Where would that
so, it would be one of your tricks.
be? Oh, my trick. I actually do not, which is probably why I said I take the torches.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
Yeah, no, I don't.
When I was rating the mice, I kept like being like, do I give it to all of them or some of them? Because like
It is something that characters can easily get pretty quickly,
Mhm.
but not all mice and rats have them because they live above ground and some they don't develop the ability.
Well,
Um,
and a point about that is red-eyed rodents tend to have more difficulty with vision, so that makes
Oh,
a lot of
okay.
sense.
That's actually good to know. I'll have to tweak that. That's excellent information. Thank you so much. So then
Should
that
have hired
case,
everyone as our rat consultant.
right, rat consultants, yes.
I may
Rats
have
and
3 at
theory.
home.
I used to have ratties as well, and they're adorable. So
I'll
okay,
hang
so
back and carry a torch that everybody can see because he
Yeah.
doesn't really carry anything else with him.
okay, so you have a torch or two. The tunnel, as I mentioned before, is kind of carved out, so it's rough hewn. It's not built with bricks or stone. And it's going to be wide enough for a couple of small mice wide, or maybe one rat. So you have a rough sense of what order you're planning to walk in.
I'm leading the way, of course.
I mean,
As Laszlo
obviously,
does.
you're clearly the toughest mouse and everything.
Verdi will follow close behind Laszlo. He's
Okay.
he's a big beefcake.
Fair enough.
I'd like to be somewhere in the middle so that when I get distracted by something interesting, the person behind me is going to bump into me and force me to move on ahead.
Fair
Mango
enough.
will follow behind Parsley and keep them in check.
I'm sure Squeaks a lot brings up the rear.
Okay.
Eh,
So you start to make your way through, and it's going. It's a gentle slope downward, but you definitely get the feeling that you're going downward. And as rodents, you have some familiarity with being underground, but not a lot because you mostly live in the city. But it becomes
No, Eddie, come back.
Oh, we lost Eddie. Oh no.
except for some amount of.
Wait,
Oh, can you hear me
yeah,
now?
that's what I thought was happening. Your internet went out for a minute.
Okay.
So we heard gentle slope down and then you were frozen for like 20 seconds.
Oh,
So
okay.
you want to like start that over.
Okay.
It happens to his internet every now and then, y'all. We're kind of used
Yeah,
to it
unfortunately,
at Onyx Path.
Weird. So it does get unusually quiet pretty quickly. You're used to a certain amount of susurrus from living in a city. So like the waves of the river, people talking in the background, the rattle of carriages, whatever. So you're not used to this level of just quiet. But then you like kick a loose rock or something, and it just echoes around strangely. The crackle of the flame starts to crackle, and then the echoes will bounce back to you. And then your footsteps, you start to hear them, and they echo and bounce around. And then it sounds like for a moment that maybe the footsteps have turned into voices, but then it fades away, and you can't quite make it out. Then your breathing goes in and out, and you can hear the breath bouncing off the walls. And then it sounds like the walls themselves are breathing or whispering, and maybe whispering in a language that you don't quite recognize. And then it fades away. Anyone can make intelligence rolls if they would like. No arcana will be appropriate here.
We
Ooh,
rolled
I
a
have
2.
that.
24 no arcana.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I rolled a
am-
3 and I have -1 to intelligence. I'm not the smartest mouse. I'm just
Yeah.
very cute.
I've already got a 9.
Okay.
I rolled a 5 total, so if you'll allow it, I'll describe why I
Sure.
don't notice.
Go for it.
Parsley is so disturbed by the lack of squeaks and talking and lack of various other noises that they are understimulated and therefore cannot focus properly.
That makes sense. So then it's only really Mango that starts to recognize that it's obviously something odd is happening here, but it's not like there's something around the corner that's going to jump on you. Rather, the way these walls are shaped seem to be part of the issue, but also there's some other kind of magic or elements that's twisting and distorting this into some kind of unusual element or dissonant sound. And as you make your way kind of around a heavy corner, as you're kind of all twitchy and distracted by the sound or even the lack of sounds, ahead of you, you do see on the ground, there's a large shell is the only way I can really describe it. It's a semicircular kind of bump in the floor of the tunnel you're walking on. And it is, the colors are pearlescent. They're lots of different kind of rainbow colors struck through, but they're actually slowly moving and twisting through the shell. And it is easily as wide as the thing, so it's bigger than any one of you.
Laszlo will approach it cautiously.
Okay.
Kind of do a circle around it.
As you walk
Circle
closer,
the other way.
you can't really get around it unless you climb over top of the shell.
Mm-hmm. So first I tap it with my paw.
Okay. So you go forward and you tap it, and then suddenly, as you're about to tap it, you notice there are kind of 4 holes in the top of the shell, and 4 eye stalks pop out of those holes and stare at you. And we will go ahead and pause there because it is time for our break.
Hello.
Laszlo's
So
supposed to be
let's-
like, "Hi, friend."
so,
Hello, shell friend.
It is 1:50 local time, so it'll be 10 minutes, and at the top of the hour, we'll get back together.
Hey.
Sounds good. So thank you, Chris, for helping out with this, by the way, and we'll see you all in about 10 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. And before we jump in again, I want to mention during the break I managed to get permission from Onyx Path, so this is one of the art pieces that's going to be in Squeaks in the Deep. So you get a sense of kind of the caverns that you're going through. So just want to kind of show that off, and I'll have another piece a little bit later. But we are rolling initiative right now, so if everyone can do that for this strange shell, because you're going to try to make friends with it, it is not going to try to make friends with you.
Oh,
But it rolls a -2.
I rolled a 1.
So we're
I'm not
seeing
going
who gets to
first.
go first.
Rolled a
I got a
19.
19.
Oh, 19
Okay.
brothers.
I also rolled a 19, but that's pre-modifier. So I have 20.
Okay, well, 20 goes first. So
Aha.
So Parsley, Leslo has touched the strange pearlescent shell, or opalescent shell, and 4 eye stalks have popped out of it.
Can I use my knowledge to try and decipher what this is?
You can, but difficulty is going to be a 20. It is a very unusual creature. Now, I will say you do have one more. All the roleplay you guys did with Mr. Meow one, I gave you some more fortune, so you have 3 fortune in the pool in case that becomes relevant.
I'm gonna give it a shot, even if I think it's related to something else that we see on a daily basis.
Well, then I'll tell you what. If you roll, say, a 17, I can give you some partial knowledge.
Yes. Okay. Let's see here. Please don't fail me. Oh.
It failed you.
I rolled an 8 with the +3 intelligence is only 11.
I'm fine
do you have-
letting you use fortune. We're in a one-shot, so it's not like we're gonna need it for next campaign.
Yeah, but you have an hour and a half to use it, so.
Oh, if you guys are fine with it, I'd love to.
Go for it.
Okay, go drag him.
Please don't fail me again. Oh,
Failed you again.
I rolled a 9, so it's 12 total.
Not better.
That is trending towards the right direction.
So if we let you roll like 8 more times, you might eventually get up there.
Alas, you only have 2 fortune.
Yeah.
If you folks want to spend another one, you can.
No, I'm okay with us not knowing what this is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
So yeah, this you're looking at this and you're just fascinated by the strange colors of it, but you're not. You can snap out of it pretty quick. You're used to managing around your own distractions. Is there anything you want to do, or do you want to just observe it some more?
So it's partially buried, right? The shell.
It looks like it's just a shell with eyes sticking out of it. You don't know if it's buried or just standing on the ground. That you can't quite tell yet. But the shell is along the edge of the ground, but it is loose dirt.
I'm going to attempt to swipe at the eye stalk with my dagger.
Okay. Go ahead and make a roll.
Oh God! Don't fail me a third time. I'm gonna just stop talking now. I rolled an 8.
So no
Okay.
more saying "Don't fail me now."
Right. Clearly, that's not working for you. So you swipe your dagger, and the eye stalk kind of just undulates out of the way, almost like a snake. And they're all kind of now doing this strange undulation. Who would you like to go next? You can choose the shell creature if you would like.
Yeah, let's see what's under that shell.
Okay. The shell, the eye stalks kind of undulate and look around, and then the shell itself kind of pops up into the air and then slams on the ground. I need all of you to make dexterity saving throws.
Oh.
You have to beat. Oh, now I roll good. 25.
Oh.
I get my first roll over 20, but just not enough over 20. I got to
I have to beat a 25. That's
I get
not
a 22
happening.
and it's still not happening.
A natural 20 will succeed regardless, but
Well, I got an 18 plus 4, so
right.
No, not 20.
Okay. The ground shakes and throbs as it lands and each of you takes 6 points of bludgeoning damage as you're knocked off your feet, and those shock waves, you actually see visible waves going through the air as it slams into you.
That
Ooh,
really
that's
hurt
rough.
me. Yeah. Oh, ow.
All of you have the condition prone, which means that your only move, you can still attack if you'd like to, but your only move is to stand up and remove the condition. And the strange creature will choose Mango to go next.
Okay, Mango is going to immediately cast Mend Flesh on themselves because they're
Okay.
1 point from dying. And heals 6 points.
Okay. So you touch yourself, and the wounds and the contusions from the collapse start to mend and heal.
Cool.
Who gets to go next?
Let's go with Laszlo.
The hero of the gag order.
So my only move would be to stand up, you said?
Yeah.
But
But
I
you
can
were right
still
next to
attack,
it, so you can still attack.
okay.
Yeah, you're right next to it, so you can attack with a melee attack.
Okay, yeah, so I'm going to stand up and I'm going to attack it. It hurt
Okay.
me and my friends. I don't like that.
It has landed back on the ground, and the eye stalks have dropped back in, so its defense has increased. So go
Oh,
ahead and roll.
good, great, awesome. Can I try to like stick my sword like into one of the eye sockets?
At a disadvantage, yes,
Okay.
but you will be able to counteract its negative penalty. So lower roll, but
Yeah, with disadvantage, I got 14.
that is just enough. You stick your dagger into its
My longsword.
your longsword into strange arcane flesh, and you hear a splitching sound as it goes into the hole. And nothing else obvious seems to happen, but certainly it sounds like it hit something fleshy.
Mhm.
Roll damage.
7.
Okay. Who gets to go next?
Let's say Havarti.
Ah. Yeah, Havarti's going to stand up.
Okay.
He's hurt, but not too bad. I said he's probably one of the beefier of the group.
Mhm.
And seeing that these stalks have gone back inside, he knows what it means to boil water. So he's gonna shake his hands. Electricity starts to crackle off of his skin or off of his fur. He's just gonna hit the side of the shell with a burst of electricity.
Okay. Is that a melee attack to hit? Yes.
It is.
Okay, you're at disadvantage
Oh darn.
for reasons that are not yet clear.
That one was a 20 total, and that one was a 14 total.
So the 14 does hit, but as you're touching the side, you actually can feel the psychic energy being drained out of your body against your will to a certain degree. So it almost seems like you're used to projecting the energy out in the electrical burst, but it actually feels like it's siphoning even more than that.
Oh dear.
But you manage to keep control of your abilities and do damage. So go ahead and roll damage.
5 lightning.
Okay. Then I'm going to roll this. Okay. And as your field of lightning sucked in, the shell itself crackles with electricity, and you yourself become shocked for 3 points of lightning damage.
Out of character, I'm pretty sure I have fought this boss in some video game. And now I know my flaw.
So who goes next?
Sir Squeaks a lot.
So Squeaks is going to kind of scamper onto his rollover and like on his back and kind of like inch away and pull out the crossbow and take a shot at it if
Okay.
possible.
Go ahead and make a roll. You get your advantage because it's filling up most of the hallway, so you're not going to really miss it.
Okay, I got a nat 20.
Well, that'll certainly do it. You managed to actually bounce the arrow off the ceiling, and it goes into one of the holes in its shell. So go ahead and roll your double your dice damage dice. Dice damage.
10.
All right. So the arrow sinks into the creature. You hear kind of a keening sound, like it's a high-pitched squeak. It's just the edge of your hearing. It's so loud it almost becomes silent again, and the echoes around the area twist and distort, and it sounds like you can hear almost like mice and rats and cats screaming for a moment as the keening twists into vocalizations, and then the shell becomes just a matte flat gray and it stops moving. And combat is over.
Whew, that was a close one, guys.
I've never
say?
seen.
I'm a little hurt now.
Yeah,
Would you like
yeah,
to
it hurt.
take a short rest and spend your stamina dice to heal?
Saw my
Yes.
life flash
Yes.
before my eyes.
Yes, please.
Okay. So you take a short break, eat some of your rations if you'd like, drink some water, and just kind of generally try to calm down a bit. Each of you should have one stamina die, which you can expend and roll to add to your stamina points. And if you want to, you don't have to if you don't want to, but you can.
Havarti is going to.
I definitely did. I was at like 2 of my health points. I'm not the
Also on
strongest
2,
mouse.
yep.
All right.
5 out
I'll
of
let you
8
just
isn't too bad.
keep track of all that.
Okay.
As you're resting, you have a chance to look at the mound. It looks like you could probably climb over it. Once you realize it's safe to touch again, it does look like you could probably hold your weight as you climbed over it. But trying to move it, it looks like it's either very heavy or entrenched into the ground.
Laszlo will climb over it.
Actually, is there a way to open it?
It only thing you could see is those kind of 4 holes. You can maybe try to dig the dirt out from under it to see if you can try to get under
What
it.
if you just hit it really hard? Will it break?
On a long enough timeline, yes.
What if you get a giant crab claw cracker?
I do have burrow.
Okay.
That receiving advantage on rolls during or using traverse skill while underground or in darkness, and increase defense by the dexterity modifier in the same conditions. So that doesn't really
apply.
No, but narratively, I mean, you're used to digging under and around things. So, I mean, you can say that if you want to spend your rest, because resting is not necessarily sleeping, it's you're just not taking a strenuous activity.
Okay. So
you can
yeah,
dig around it, and you see that it doesn't appear to be actually dug in. It looks like it's just really heavy. And there's the shell has a really heavy lip to it. It's almost like a turtle now that you're moving around it. It's just a turtle that has, for some reason, 4 holes in the back of its shell and no obvious, from this side anyway, hole for the head or area for the head to come out. And Laszlo, who's climbing the other side, also sees that the shell is much the same on the other side as well. But if you could get hands up. I'm assuming Parsley just has no problem sticking their hands like directly under the shell, and you can dig around a little bit, and you can feel there is some kind of cooling flesh, and your paw comes back and it's covered in some kind of you can't really tell what color it is in the light. It's not very good light, but it does seem like maybe a greenish, blackish ichor. Might be blood, could be some other kind of chemical or body fluid. feel like it. It does smell terrible.
Then no, I'm going to whoever and you can roll a chance die, but whoever is right next to me, I take my paw and I just wipe it on their clothes. I don't know how you want to do that.
Sorry, Havarti. You now have a huge stain on your clothing.
He probably
I'm on the
doesn't
other
even
side.
notice it.
Fair enough. It smells slightly better than when you use your psychic powers, so it's got that going for it.
Interesting. I would like to take a sample of the ichor, and I would like to take a sample of shell scrapings.
Okay. Do you have any kind of container on your sheet? If not, you can make a wisdom roll to see if you have some kind of like a glass. What are they called? Container.
Files.
File. Thank you.
So I don't. What I have that might be relevant is parchment and quill, so I could sketch it out.
Sure.
And then
I have toxicant, so I actually have little vials for my poisons. We can say that I have a couple of extra.
Sure, that's fine.
I'm fine with that.
Also, I have scientific instrument acquired under mysterious circumstances.
I mean that is like a caliper or a ancient Bunsen burner or something like that. So it's less of a container and more of a device that you can use to measure a thing, and we can decide that when it becomes dramatically appropriate.
The burner of the sun of the bun.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I just throw parsley, like a couple little vials with corks.
Okay, and they're able to kind of scrape ichor in one and some shell thing another, and you will spend days analyzing these things endlessly, I'm sure. But we're going to go ahead and move along.
I'm gonna, since I now know what this thing smells like, I'm gonna be kind of smelling around and sniffing the air, and my hair is gonna, kind of stand up and use smell life to just make sure there's not any more of these in the general area.
All of the life you can smell in the area. It does seem like most of it's coming from this thing, which is no longer alive, but it was in the recent past. You have a pretty good sense of when it died, but also you know exactly when it died. So that matches up. But you do smell a little bit of life further down the tunnel, but it's plant life, not an animal.
There's some plants growing down this way. Cool. I mean, if there's plant stuff growing, that means there's life down here, so other things might be down here as well.
But maybe they are delicious mushrooms.
Or water.
Both are possible, yes.
There has to be water if there's plants. That's how plants work.
I can figure out if there's water I can douse.
Well, do you want to go toward the life?
Well, what does our map say?
It does appear that there's some more curving and maneuvering, but yes, it is in the same direction.
Follow the
brave
water.
Adventurers, let's go.
Okay.
Huzzah.
So you follow the tunnel, and after a couple of turns, you actually see there's some lights ahead. Do you want to douse your torches, keep them lit, sneak up on it, dive right in?
I think we should douse the torches. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I'm gonna douse and go for the sneak. Yeah.
Yeah, go for the sneak.
Sneak and squeak.
Let's be stealthy.
Squeak.
Everyone will need to make dexterity rolls. You can use the sneak skill if you have it. I need at least 3 of you to make a 10 or higher.
Oh, I didn't make it.
And remember, if you're a mouse, you have advantage on stealth rolls.
Yep.
17 total.
Okay.
No sneak, but it was a dex roll.
Yep, I rolled a 7.
15.
That's 3.
23 total.
All right, so you are all extremely silent, especially in this weird echoing tunnel. Although the echoes seem to have become more naturalistic in the past few minutes. Still, you manage to discipline your noise, and you start to move ahead towards the lights. And as you make the final curve, you see that the tunnel is alive with a rainbow of colors that shift and flow. It looks like they're coming from some kind of fungus, or maybe they're actually mushrooms, but between like on the ground a little bit, but mostly along the walls. There are just strobes of reds and blues and greens and yellows, and it flickers and changes and distorts. Anyone who wants to can make a wisdom roll, difficulty 14. If you have the survive skill, you can use that, or know nature.
Rolled an 8.
It is pretty.
A 19 total for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in single digits, so.
Not even going to attempt to roll.
Fair enough.
Due to my modifier.
Well then, Parsley, you once got really interested in mushrooms, and that led to a month of deciding to categorize every single mushroom and fungus you found. And then you were like, what happened to the month? Suddenly, it's a month later and I'm really hungry, but I have all these mushrooms. But you do recognize some of these. Some of the ones, particularly the ones that are primarily strobing green color, are poisonous. So you have learned from hard experience, don't eat those. The ones that are strobing the yellower, warmer colors are ones that if you eat them, it will give someone the ability to see in the dark for a period of time, which means they'll ultimately have like dark vision for an hour. And then finally, some that are particularly explosive, like the very bright bursts of color, then go back to dark, then bright bursts of color, there's only a couple of them, but they are ones that have some kind of rejuvenative components, which means that if you eat them, you would heal 1d8 damage.
Friends, I have the marvel of mycology to share with you.
Yes.
Avoid the green ones.
What's your ecology?
Oh, no, mycology.
Your ecology.
No, mycology.
Yes,
Right.
your ecology.
What is your mycology?
No, their ecology.
Right. What is your ecology?
No,
Squeak.
all of our ecology.
Squeaks has a
Wait.
hand almost on a green one and be like, what did you say about the green ones?
No, touchy.
Why?
So one time I had one, and I ended up you don't want to know. But anyway, so just avoid the green ones. Bad things will happen, or like really, really strange things where you wake up in the middle of a tavern and you don't know what happened for the past 2 months. But that aside, don't touch the green ones. But the yellow ones, my friends without dark vision, you can gain dark vision for an hour. You can see
in the dark
for an entire hour.
That's so
So
exciting.
much time. And then these other ones that I'm gonna pluck, they kind of change colors. They'll help you feel better for a little bit.
I like feeling better and seeing in the dark.
Yeah, gotta
Me
pick
too.
some of those.
Absolutely. Just remember, no green.
So there's enough for everyone to get dark vision, but there's only enough for 2 people to heal.
So who has the biggest ouchies?
I'm down to 1 point
Okay.
right now.
Oh, you didn't use your stamina?
I did. I didn't roll high enough to get all my health points back.
Okay.
Same.
I'm currently a 7 out of 10 myself.
You can also save if 2 of you don't want to use it, you can also take one and save it and use it later.
Oh, I'm totally game for saving them. If you guys are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Make sure this
But I
big guy
will be a
has
dark
one.
vision one. No, dark vision.
I need to know who has which one so that you can track that.
I think Vardy should get one of the healing ones because he's the big one, the biggest one of us, and we can all hide behind him otherwise.
Valid.
And then he can eat it and then be better and keep going while we're still fighting.
I think the other fighty Rodentia should have the healing one. I can stand back and use a psionic attack. I don't have to be up close and personal. I can analyze.
To myself and
Is that me? Am I good at
Laszlo.
fighting?
I think so. Versus, well,
Yeah.
I
We
think
have many
Laszlo
fighting
should
ones.
take one since you're so low already.
I'm also very small and prone to jumping in front of bad guys and stabbing them. So.
Right.
Right.
This is true.
Not
Fighty by
prone to
design
jumping,
and
you're-
fighty by temperament are perhaps two different things. in those games.
You're prone to being
Accurate.
courageous beyond your means.
Right.
Yeah, that is not parsley. So definitely, yeah, Laszlo and Havarti.
Laszlo literally punches up because everything's above Laszlo. Okay, so Havarti and Laszlo each have one of the healing fungi. And then everyone else, you can right now, you can eat right now for dark vision, and you have enough. You can take one more dose with you if you need dark vision for another hour.
Okay.
Would you like to all do that and therefore extinguish your, keep your torches extinguished?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially because we're
Okay.
stealthy right now. We're being stealthy.
Yeah.
Okay. As a note, with dark vision, you tend to not see color very well. It's much like if you're looking at twilight, so color becomes much more muted. It's going to be grays, a little bit of blues. That's basically about the most of the color range you're going to see. You can see that there are different colors, but you're not going to be easily distinguish them. But you make your way through the tunnels, and with dark vision, you can kind of read the map. Look at the map is just black ink on a pale parchment, so you can pretty easily distinguish that. And it looks like the last bit of corridors are going to move you towards a large circular room, and that's where the map terminates. So you sneak forwards, make your way towards there. Are you going to continue to be stealthy as you approach the circular room?
Yes.
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 So moving around to dexterity checks. Difficulty is again 10. I'm going to roll for no reason whatsoever. No need to panic. As a 2,
For Havarti.
22.
Yes. 22.
Okay.
16.
20.
9 total.
Well, luckily everybody else picks up your slack. Parsley.
We're like
I'm assuming.
carrying parsley with like one hand over their mouth.
Right. Well, I figure it's more Parsley's like trying to sketch all the things they've seen, and it keeps bumping into Havarti in front of him. It's like, oh, it's like, no, shh, just give it, but documentation. Documentation is very important. And so you make your way through, and the tunnel actually, as you get closer to the circular room, it becomes more regular. Rather than kind of the rough-hewn areas you saw before, the tunnel actually becomes, there's a flat floor and the walls curve up like this. Most peculiarly, the walls aren't stone. It looks like somehow just a solid piece of gray stone makes up the curved wall and the floor. Those of you who have no arcana, at least Parsley probably knows, maybe some others, have studied that the ancient ones had some kind of stone they called concrete, where they could actually turn stone into liquid and pour it into places before they magically turned it back into stone. So this might be an area where humans actually created this area. And as you get closer, the curved thing is much taller than all of you, and you make your way into the large circular room. And again, it is perfectly circular, what you can see in. And that takes you all have dark vision. You can see across. It's a fairly long distance across. It's probably going to be maybe a couple of minutes if you were to walk straight through from one end to the other. It is, again, perfectly circular. The walls are, again, not hewn stone, but that kind of very perfectly curved stone. And the floor is covered in small heads of what look like maybe were dolls. The dolls were not rat dolls or mouse dolls or even cat or dog dolls. It looks like some strange kind of skinless creature with flat noses. And the eyes all look like they're also kind of flat and jagged. Many of them have holes punched in And there are just mounds and mounds of these strange plastic heads. But that is the big thing is it is plastic. Every head in here is made from plastic. This is, in Pugmire terms, like if you walked into the classic Dragon's Hoard or Scrooge McDuck thing, we're just covered in gold coins. This is kind of the equivalent of it. You could swim in plastic. It is a gigantic amount of plastic.
Is there any?
And it's also,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just say, as you're moving up silently, you do hear a strange kind of cooing sound.
Is there any illumination at all in here?
No.
It's pitch black. Okay.
So it all looks dark and gray and the like. But getting dark vision, you can see through these huge mounds of plastic, but you don't see anything.
Oh yeah, no, I know. If there was any illumination at all, I have a spell I was going to use, but
no,
there isn't any, so I can't.
It is steeped in shadow.
Is there? Oh, sorry.
What's the like the temperature of the room? Kind of the same as where we were coming out.
It is a bit colder. It's not like something you need a coat colder, but certainly you can't help but shiver a little bit. Although how much of that is the cold and how much of that is the atmosphere is hard to tell.
Let's wants to reach down and pick up one of the doll's heads and kind of look at it closer and examine it and see if it's just what it seems like it is.
Okay. You pick it up, and again, it's some strange creature. You don't know what kind of puppy or baby rat would want to have something like this in their crib. And the eyes, they look flat and dead in a way that, well, it's obviously a chunk of plastic that's not alive, but also still seems to bother you. And you can't tell if it's because you're the fungus and the way it's giving you dark vision or not, but it does look like the lips might be moving, but you can't exactly tell.
I'm just gonna like slowly move around to one side, staying up against the wall.
The mounds of plastic are so massive that they're basically up to the walls. So the whole room is filled with these plastic heads.
Well, friends, we found the plastic, but do we want to look for an artifact or some knowledge in here? I know that this is what the cats want, but this is not for us.
As you speak, you hear your own words echo back to you, but the words keep changing. The echoes back keep saying "Gaga, Mama, Gaga, Mama." And then one of the mounds actually starts to slowly, the heads start to roll up on top of each other and building a mound in front of you. And that was like usual initiative.
Oh God. Of all the horror stuff I play, this is one of the worst.
I was wondering where it was going to come in.
Why is there a Pugmire game at Virtual Horror Con? It's not very horrible.
I did wonder.
You had me at doll heads.
You want to be to 16?
No.
19 for Havarti.
Nice.
Okay. Then something Havarti maybe at the top.
I'm kind of glad that they wasted both of my ones on just initiative rolls.
Yeah, no, seriously. This is a good time to use those ones up.
Yeah, good job, Dice.
Good job, Dice. Okay, Havarti, you may start.
Oh, I'm at the top. Yay. So seeing this, they're not molten yet, are they?
No, it's just like it looks
Okay.
like the heads of the defy gravity started rolling on top of each other to make a kind of a rough mound shape, and you keep hearing that gaga mama, gaga mama, 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 gaga mama. And now you can see more clearly that each individual little mouth is in fact moving and speaking in unison.
Leslie will definitely drop the one he was holding.
Okay. It stares at you.
I don't understand what kind of magic is happening here. This cannot be correct. He will run forward with his flail and shield in hand, swinging it around.
Okay. Go ahead and attack the giant's mound of doll heads.
Let's hope one of the heads doesn't get stuck on the flail.
Oh my God, what if you replaced the head of your flail with a doll head that just talked to people?
I'm pretty sure that didn't hit. That's an 8. Cool.
Your flail actually moves through the mounds, but as opposed to scattering the heads everywhere, it looks like they almost kind of envelop around your swing through. So like it opens up a hole, your swing through, and it closes up behind it.
Mm,
That's normal.
not to
Totally
Havarti.
normal.
Who goes next?
Well, let's see some range from Parsley here.
Okay, Parsley.
Excellent. Okay, so let me see what the title of this is. I'm going to use my mental ray.
Okay.
Which is the translucent gray telepathic energy that I send forth from my forehead toward a character within range. And I gotta make a ranged psychic attack roll against the target.
Okay.
So
go ahead and make your roll. Oh,
I rolled
no.
a nat 1.
Nice.
Okay.
Need to get a new
So-
D20.
What would you tell again?
Where my eyes flood from their usual black to red, and the smell of grass, fresh cut grass and seeds.
So as your eyes change and the smell of grass, which has probably never been smelled by anything under here for centuries, floods through the chamber, and a beam of gray energy moves from your forehead towards the shambling abomination. And as you do so, you feel some of the heads have moved under your feet, and it drags you down. I need you to make a strength saving throw.
Oh god. Oh, see, now I rolled a 19, so.
Well, that was a good time to get that. You managed to actually, even though the floor has been flat, for some reason it feels like a sinkhole has opened up underneath of you, and it actually is not. You're not falling. You're being pulled down, but you managed to claw your way out of it. So you're prone, but you're not in a sinkhole. So,
I
hooray!
appreciate that.
Who gets to go next? Remember, the abomination is also a thing you can choose.
Don't choose that one.
Choose
Nope.
abomination.
Nope. I'm gonna go with Sir Squeaks a lot.
I'm gonna whip out the crossbow and crossbow it up a little bit.
Okay. You feel free to shoot the giant mound of heads. It's a sentence you can say very often.
Is a 23.
That will hit. So go ahead and roll your damage.
9.
9. Okay. The arrow goes through the air and lands into the mounds, and actually you do manage to pierce a couple of the plastic heads, and the gaga mama chanting becomes discordant. So like before they were kind of speaking at the same time, now it seems like they're speaking at different rates, and a couple of those plastic heads actually fall off of it like rotten apples off of a tree. So maybe that's hurt.
Now that it may be hurt, I want to see what it does next. So let's let the baby doll head abomination go.
Yay. Okay.
The doll head centipede.
Perhaps outraged by your attack, or perhaps simply amused by your antics, it looks like all of the heads start to drip back down, but then as they're moving back down, all of the eyes move towards you at the exact same moment, so all of the heads are staring at you, and a huge burst of light comes out from it, the faces. And since you all have dark vision, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, but you're disadvantaged because you're more prone to be blinded by being in the dark. Difficulty is only 13, however.
Got a 15.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's 17.
Oh, good.
I got a 5 total.
That is not good.
16 for Havarti.
My
21.
first roll was a nat 20.
So it looks like everyone but Parsley made it. We still have 2
Take that fortune.
Do fortune.
fortune.
Yes,
Take that
but
Roll that if
fortune.
you want.
roll parsley, roll it.
Because
Roll it again.
otherwise you will have the blinded condition.
Oh no. I rolled a 9. And my dex modifier is a 1. So I only got 10.
Well,
Okay.
we tried.
I mean,
did
you
my
still have
best.
2 more, but
I'm not going to use all of it up. Parsley's smart. They'll figure out another way to navigate.
fair enough. Okay, so you are blind. Let me look that up real quick. You cannot see, and you automatically fail any ability check, trick, or spell that requires sight. Attack rolls against you have an advantage, and your attack rolls are at disadvantage.
Okay.
Basically, you'll be able to make Constitution saving checks on your turn to try to get the spots out of your eyes.
Sounds good.
But it is not going to choose you to go next. Let's see, I believe only Mango and Lazo have not gone, correct?
I think so.
Yeah, then we'll choose Mango.
I'm going to use temperature control around us or it. I'm going to use it on it and see what 10 degrees of temperature change does to it.
Up or down?
Up.
Okay. You're just going to make a saving throw. It is not going to do good. I'm not going to ask you for it because I'm sure it's higher than 7. So you increase the temperature around the kind of blocky mound of plastic doll heads now. And you do see like some at the top look like they're kind of getting softer and like they kind of dip a bit. But otherwise not much. I'll go ahead and roll something here for completely arbitrary reasons. And it looks like you've had some effect.
Huh, interesting.
Who goes next?
All right. Laszlo's the only one left, I think.
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
so.
Laszlo.
Adjust my camera. There we go. I've been adjusting my camera this whole time. All right, so the crossbow seemed to have done something. So Laszlo
appears
is
to have
going
done
to
something.
follow suit.
Okay.
Because Laszlo also has a crossbow. Nat 20, baby!
Woo. Go ahead and roll twice your damage dice.
Double damage. Uh, 13.
13.
Piercing.
So again, another arrow goes through. This one goes through at you one of the eyes of the heads, and you hear some popping sounds as it goes through into the creature mounds. And another chunk of it seems to sag. So it looks like perhaps more effect.
Mhm.
But it is the top of the round. You can decide who goes next, including yourself.
I'm actually going to toss it back to Mango because whatever they're doing seems to be
Cool.
messing with it somehow.
Could use my bonus action to raise the temperature another 10 degrees.
Okay.
And then gonna reach out. If I were to reach out and try to touch it, do I have to get close to it? Can I just sort of touch all of the dolls in the area?
It's unclear if this mound is a separate, distinct entity or if all of it is connected. If you make your move action and touch it, that'll definitely connect it, but that may also be the most dangerous part.
Right.
So you're kind of having to guess.
Mango's gonna guess and reach out to the closest like area of dolls and use his burst of electricity on it and see what happens.
Okay, so you're not going to approach the area that's been attacking you. You're going to approach another clump.
No freaking way. I'm not getting near that thing.
Okay.
Come join me in the fray.
No.
Go ahead and make your roll.
That's 24 to hit.
Okay, you managed to touch a separate mound of loose plastic doll heads,
Mhm.
and electricity kind of dumps into the plastic, and it immediately twists and melts, and you don't see any commiserate effect to the large lump in front of you.
Okay, cool. You got to get close.
You have learned a thing. Who goes next?
Since I didn't commiserate, I will let Havarti go first, or go.
Havarti is blinded by rage at missing and just continues to flail on this mass.
Flail. You have a flail.
That is a 17.
Okay, it looks like you managed to get a resounding hit on the monstrosity. Go ahead and roll
About
damage.
time. That is some good damage. That's 11 bludgeoning.
Okay. A mass of plastic twists and snaps, almost like bones breaking under the heavy assault. But it still has that kind of murmuring of gaga mama, that's going on.
That's creepy.
Who goes next?
Sir Squeaks a lot.
So since I noticed it kind of reacting to when Mango was doing the temperature control,
Mhm.
I'm going to use my temperature control, and the smell of sort of mildewy mildew after a rain, um, wet leaves that have fallen from the ground, kind of come out and circle. The hairs on them stand up a little bit, and turn up the temperature again. See if that's
Okay. You do see the plastic is starting to turn a kind of. You can't really tell color because you can use dark vision, but there is a distinct color change happening, and the heat's starting to radiate off of it. You've now increased this by 30 degrees Fahrenheit for those listening. And so you're starting to get almost like a sense of standing around a bonfire. And more, it doesn't look like it's collapsing any further. In fact, some of the plastic now seems to be flowing together and perhaps merging.
that does not at all sound potentially horrifying or have negative results.
Maybe hit Voltron. Come on, let's do it.
So
Um,
this is 2 out of 2 now this weekend for me with games where horrible monstrosities merged into something worse.
Well, I mean, it may be merging, maybe it's not. Who knows? We'll see.
we don't. And
Who's
then I will say that Laszlo can take another shot at it, or whatever else he was going to do.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get near that thing, especially now that it's all hot and weird. So he is going to crossbow it again. Worked last time.
Okay.
Would you believe me if I said it was a nat 20 again? Because it is.
I trust you.
But I feel super weird about that.
The dice do the dice do.
All right. I'm apparently really good with the crossbow and should not have used my sword at all this session.
Clearly. Laszlo the archer.
Is that a 9? Yeah, 13.
So your arrow parts through, and it looks like it's almost, the plastic at this point is getting close to molten. So it a hole is burrowed through the creature, and it's melting and dripping around that hole. So it's opposed to being lots of loose things. Looks like it's kind of turned into a solid object that has the appearance of lots of things around it. And you've put a hole through that. And so the whispers are becoming fainter, but they're still discordant and jarring.
Does it have any innards or skeletal system or metal?
No,
or
it looks like
is
it's just solid
it's just
plastic.
baby heads? Okay.
Baby heads all the way down.
Oh,
So
good.
like in the cartoons when someone shoots Clayface and it just goes right through.
Yes.
And then
Exactly like that, yes. Who goes next, Laszlo? I think you have Mango, Parsley, and the creature.
I'm gonna say Parsley. Let's see what Parsley can do now that they're blinded.
Oh boy.
So first, you can make your Constitution saving throw to see if you can shake off being blinded. Normally happens in the round, but I'll give it to you at the top.
14 total.
Okay, that's enough to shake it off. So again, you still see spots in front of your eyes, but after so I'll say you have disadvantage for the rest of this round, but after that you'll be fine.
Okay, so with just difficulty being able to see, Parsley is using their ears and listening to, having observed the cave and being as observant as they are, hopefully remembers the layout of all the plastic piles and the walls, stalactites, stalagmites, etc. So evaluates the sounds made by teammates and the creepy baby plastic head amalgamation that Dixie has so pleasantly labeled the plastic baby peed, to try and orient themselves.
Okay. The only problem is that the constant muttering and murmuring is echoing strangely off the walls, so you're still going to be at disadvantage even using your ears.
Okay. And then I mean, I could try that mental ray again, but well, heck. Yeah, I'm going to give that another shot.
Okay. I'm sure it'll be fine this time. Don't roll a 1.
I did not roll a 1. I rolled a 14, and that is a +5 to that. So 19 total.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your damage as the gray energy envelops from your head towards the liquefying creature.
Only a 3.
Not. It seems to react strangely. It's almost like it pulses. It's like it shivers, and there's almost a crunching sound that seems to kind of collapse slightly in itself. And the whispering is not gone, but now sounds almost slurred, like it's slowing down, like a record slowly grinding to a halt.
Like a battery. That's out of character. I don't know if Parsley would know about batteries.
Fair enough. Certainly, you know that some of the ancient creations of man did have a limited energy supply that was replaced by devices known as batteries. So this might be battery operated, but also could be operated by any number of other energy sources. It could be gas, it could be solar, which would be very strange down here. So, I mean, but yeah, it's possible that maybe you're managing to run its, if it is a man-made creation, it could be you're running its engine down, as it were.
I would, if I have the ability to just throw that out there to the team, let them know that it has some sort of energy source, and that's all I know.
It's up to Mango.
Going to use bonus action to raise the degrees 10 more.
Okay.
And then since you can't hit it from afar, I got to get close and try to touch it with burst of lightning. But I only rolled a total of 9, so I mentioned that misses.
Well, no, you hit. I mean, you touch it.
Oh,
That definitely happens.
Oh, wow.
But unfortunately, as you're touching it, the hot molten plastic that you have created sears your paw.
Oh no!
And you take 2 points of heat damage.
Yeah, I should have thought about that one.
And so you have to pull your hand back, which means you don't have a long enough time to grab on it to actually put the energy in.
Okay.
But it is the top of. Wait, no, I'm sorry. The monstrosity is not gone yet. So, as you touch your hands and you pull touch your paw and you put your paw back, some of the heads leap off of the creature and grab onto your arm and start to bite.
Nope.
They can spirit it away.
Is your defense higher than 16 or equal to 16?
No.
Okay. So it would feel like a million small bites cover your arm, and you take 8 points of damage
Cool.
as they start to chew through your clothing, your armor, even your fur, and lots of strange teeth marks are dotting your arm.
Mango just falls and like, avenge me, and knocked out.
Okay. It is the top of the round. The monstrosity chooses itself to go again.
Oh, that bastard.
And it decides to
Damn monstrosity.
the heads off of another pile start to roll down and start to envelop Parsley. Is your defense higher than a 22? I'm going to say probably not.
No.
More small plastic teeth bite into your flesh as you take 15 points of piercing damage.
Parsley just faints. Because I am definitely out of stamina points now.
Okay. 2 of the party are down. Laszlo, the hero of that quarter. What would you like to do?
Can we see the like power source that it has? Like, do we know?
No.
Okay, so we have no
Parsley
idea.
babbled something about a power source and then was devoured by baby heads. As a side note, if you choose either Mango or Parsley, they will start making death saves.
Okay. I'm scared is what I am. I'm gonna take my bonus action to toxify my weapon.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna keep shooting it right now. I'm terrified. I don't know what to do.
Okay. We'll see if poison works.
That is 19.
That hits.
Roll a 14 that time. Not a 20.
Go ahead and roll your damage.
9.
All right.
And then and 1d4 poison if that works.
Go ahead and roll that too.
Okay. I'm like, wait a minute, I wrote this rule. 3. So 12.
So you actually shoot into the hole that had been created at an angle. So it shoots up into, try and shoot for the kind of inside the lump of baby heads. And it sticks. You could almost see kind of a little bit in there. And then there's another one of those kind of strange pulses, and plastic explodes everywhere in a molten shower. So I need everyone who is awake to make a dexterity saving throw.
18 for Havarti.
I need a 12 or higher.
8.
13.
I rolled
Okay.
a 4.
You have 2 fortune left. Would you like to spend any?
May I, everybody?
Sure.
Go for it.
Go for it.
That time I rolled a 13.
Okay. You managed to avoid the shower of hot molten plastic as it splatters all over the walls. And then all is silence. The whispering fades to nothing. I assume you rush over and help your companions to avoid them from dying.
Yes, I'm going to give Parsley my mushroom.
Okay.
Because I actually didn't get hurt.
I will bend down to Mango, who is next to me in the fray, feeling bolstered for someone coming up to assist. I will place my hand on him, lean down to his ear, say, "Take a whiff." As his wounds start to heal and the smell of Limburger wafts into his nose, and I mend his flesh.
Oh,
Healing Limburger.
healed
Healing
by
Limburger.
farts. Oh dear.
I was about to say, did you fart?
Did you fart?
I heal you.
That is not how smelling salts work, Dwayne.
No.
That's not.
That's what's my wisdom? That'd be 8.
All right, thank you.
Has the temperature control, is that something that it, since Mango is knocked out, was that
It would have started going down, and then basically, as long as if you don't stop doing bonus actions, it stops happening. So when Mango went down, it was slowly just temperature wouldn't actually come down. So you can wait a short period of time. Eventually, that plastic will all cool.
Since I used it last round, I'm going to use a bonus action to lower it to try to speed that up a bit because heating it up didn't seem to work great.
Yeah, no, combat at this point, combat is over. You
All right.
have stopped it. So yeah, you can switch the direction of control temperature and combat down. You can make it eventually make it brittle and
I'm going to bring it down to just a comfortable level, as unless the plastic starts doing something and reacting to it in a way that seems threatening.
No, it appears to no longer be moving. So you now have a large room of somewhat slightly melted but largely intact, potentially demon possessed baby heads. Is a massive fortune in plastic, maybe cursed. What would you like to do with this?
We should seal this off and tell nobody of it.
Never speak of this again.
I think
Seeing
we
as
should-
the
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
As the battle ensued and being so close to this monstrosity, he would have seen that there was possibly some type of core. So Havarti will go out and start smacking away at where he thinks may be this source.
Okay, so with your weaponry, you bludgeon and hack your way through this congealed, what little's left, this congealed mass. Nothing seems to enter that. You start smacking baby heads away, digging through mounds of baby heads, and it looks like it's just a bunch of plastic doll heads. You don't see any mechanical components, nothing magical, nothing untoward, nothing scientific, nothing psychic. It's just, for some reason, these little mounds of plastic have somehow acquired, for lack of a better term, sentience.
So no strange container that says Energizer or anything like that.
No. Is perhaps Parsley's theory may have, not that you would tell Parsley directly, but their theory may have in fact been wrong.
So if we move the baby heads aside, what does is there anything on the floor? Are there any essentially Laszlo just wants to kind of poke around through the wreckage a little bit with their sword and see if there's anywhere underneath.
Squeaks is also going to be doing that, but kind of around the perimeter of the room.
Okay. The walls, as I mentioned before, seem completely featureless. But if you dig through the floor, you do find a couple of interesting things. It's hard to get a whole picture. You have to spend probably close to an hour moving things around and looking at them and kind of comparing notes. But the first thing you notice is that there look like there are several circular indentations that are cut into the floor. One of them was one of the ones that Parsley almost fell through. So it looks like the whole floor is covered with those indentations. Excuse me. So it looks like any of them could potentially have been drop points, as it were. But the whole floor does seem like it's covered in a massive painted sign or mural or symbol. And Parsley is going to be documenting this anyway. So as they sketch, you eventually do get a picture of the whole thing. And most of you recognize it. Parsley in particular will notice that it looks like it is a symbol for one of the 100 theories, which are the heretical scientific explorations of the cult of Lebutor, the nefarious white rats that are, for lack of a term, they're demonologists, they're extremists. They believe that science is more important than any kind of animal life. And so it looks like perhaps the cult may have found this place and twisted it to their own ends.
This is terrifying. Levitor.
Yeah, this is, for a scientist like yourself, this is an abomination. This is science with no moral compass, and therefore you find this to be horrific.
Everyone knows that science requires morals.
So I think everyone will agree that we seal this place off and speak nothing of it.
Well, we kind of made an agreement.
Oh, yeah, but we can
Yeah,
speak
look at all this
something of it.
plastic.
Right, but if we tell Mr. Meow that it was possessed by the unseen, he wouldn't want that plastic.
Oh,
But what if
Send
it's
her a curse.
possessed by Labrator, and if we remove the plastic from the Labrator floor?
I don't know.
Then
Do you want to carry one of those with you?
Mm-mm.
I'll take a baby head with me.
You
That is a
would.
sentence
mean-
you don't get to hear every day.
Lasso will
I mean-
actually take
But in
his
his
sword.
back.
Lasso will take his sword and the like melted weird pieces that like aren't distinguishable anymore. Like he's gonna hack off some of those splinters and put them in his bags. Like it's still a good amount of plastic, but it's not in head form. And he's
Right.
hoping
Yeah,
that
I'm
might be
definitely
like
gonna.
the way to go.
I'm gonna chop the heads into pieces if they're solid. So like crack them in half,
Okay.
and then put the pieces in.
Have you guys ever seen pictures of like dolls after fires where like there's
Mhm.
chunks are
Oh yeah.
charred
Yeah.
black and melted down? It looks like that. I mean, basically, I'm assuming you guys are like cutting it apart so like it doesn't look like a face anymore. So it's just
Yeah,
rainy
yeah,
bit of
Just
plastic?
like yeah.
okay. Then each of you can easily come up with several chunks of large and like occasionally one will have like an eye, one will have a small chunk of hair attached to it, but otherwise it just looks like vaguely brown and pink plastic.
Okay. Well, wrap some up, stuff it in the rucksack, so we can at least hold up our end of the deal. But we're not bringing all of it. We can't, and we should seal this place up.
Right.
Oh God, no! There's no way you could carry all of this.
Yeah. We should seal this
100
off.
mice
Though.
cannot carry all of this.
Yeah, sealing it off seems like the best plan. But before we do, I need to document everything.
Last
and
time
then-
you said that it took you 3 months.
Well, I mean, sometimes I get a little focused, and well, it won't take me 3 months. I don't want to stay in here forever. And then Parsley dives into a pile of baby heads to just get at every little symbol that's on the floor.
Are you documenting just the symbol? Because I mean, otherwise, if on a long enough timeline, eventually you're going to start categorizing these heads by weight and color.
Why do I feel like you've been spying on my life, Eddie? Parsley, with the taboo that is this creepy evil science, would not go so far as to categorizing the baby heads, but Parsley would see if there's a common denominator for the types of heads, like what the average one looks like, and then research it later on, different little artifacts of the humans.
How tolerant is the rest of the group going to be of this research?
10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're doing this whole we're like breaking up the other ones and everything, that's fine. But when it's time to go, it's time to go.
So Parsley can, at a quick glance, draw some extremely rough conclusions that they would not want to put towards a paper or God forbid, a thesis. But you can enough to maybe start some good solid research when you get back home.
Perfection.
Then you, the main thing you notice is that there are, as you dig through, you just see occasional places of mice, rat heads, or cat heads, but it's definitely a smaller portion. And the closer the heads get towards people that you recognize, the newer the heads seem to be in better shape. Not doesn't have chunks of fur hanging out, stuff like that. So that's about the only real conclusion you get in the limited time you have, is that the older the plastic, the less like people you recognize it resembles, which can draw some interesting conclusions about perhaps the people that walked before you. Maybe there's entire posit of the old ones or humanity maybe had other favored people or species before your kind. There's a lot of different interesting rabbit holes of research you could possibly explore with this knowledge. But the rest of your party recognizes perhaps a little impatience. and would like to continue on.
We're leaving.
Yeah. Just like five more seconds, and
Right.
someone like
we're
drags
done.
Parsley
I imagine
away.
they're grabbing you and pulling you out as just put one more thing.
Yeah, just dragging her.
Okay, your way back is
Done.
uneventful, unless there's something you wish to accomplish or do. You climb back over the strange mounds. You are careful to be quiet during the weird, creepy, echoing hallway. And you make your way back up and you pound on the door. You open it up and a cat with black and white fur looks through and it's like, oh, yeah, you're the one the boss said.
Salutations.
And you make your way back into Mr. Meow. And goes, ah, friends. What have you discovered?
We brought some plastic back, sir, but it was the unseen had a presence down there, sir.
He immediately touches his nose, which you recognize as a sign of warding off evil.
I don't think anyone else should go down there, sir. You should seal off that cave.
That seems like quite the good idea. Is this? Have you plastic? Have you checked to make sure it is also how you say sanctified?
As far as we know, but that's not really my area of expertise.
You should send fire down there. All the fire, and then just rocks. Just seal it off.
You may want to bring it over to the cathedral and have one of them look at it and make sure it's clean before you circulate any of it.
Yeah, give it a blessing.
There is a shepherd who owes me a favor. I think they would be very interested in both preserving this plastic, but also to, as you say, the fire. They're a big fan of the fire, so I think that would probably be arranged. But my friends, you have just what I have seen so far. This would be enough to, shall we say, hire some protection for your rodent friends in the Grey Souk. I would be honored if perhaps once this disagreement with Felicia is resolved, that perhaps we can meet in future and discuss a new path for the rodents of the cat quarter. But you have had a long day. You can stay for catnip tea, or I can send you on your way and we can meet some other time when you have rested.
Sounds
And
good.
we will call it there. That is the end of the playtest.
Hey.
We
So,
defeated the baby peed.
Get out.
I will say the as you call the baby peed is actually called the Gagamamba, which is one of the monsters in Squeaks and Deep. The other one, the strange shell-like creature, is a Cairo shell. And good thing you guys didn't use a ton of psychic powers on it, because its shell actually does absorb and occasionally one of the options is it just sends all the arcane energy off, and everyone has to make a saving throw or take force
Wow.
damage.
Did you take any inspiration from said game that begins with an FF?
I will say one of the creatures is called a Drodo. And if they're crystalline creatures and they occasionally merge, and if enough of them merge, it becomes a Drodomomo. And then if more of them merge, it becomes a Drodomoso. So, I mean, yes, there's certainly some inspiration from well-understood Japanese video games. But it's also, there's always a logic and underpinning that makes sense for Pugmire specifically.
Yeah.
Whereas once I knew I was going to be in this, I made sure I didn't look at the creature antagonist type things, because I think it's more fun to just try to figure out what they are in the game. It's fun.
Absolutely. So we have a couple of minutes left. So if any of you players have more questions or commentary, or also if you people in chat want to give their thoughts or questions, I'm happy to kind of answer those. One thing we'll cover right now is Squeaks and Deep will eventually be on some crowdfunding platform, not anytime soon, because Onyx Path has a couple of those already lined up right now. But sometime in the near future, we will be having a crowdfunding thing, and they'll be able to pledge to that.
Mhm.
And also, if you liked this kind of playtesting, we may have more of it at the upcoming Onyx PathCon in June 2021. When in June, not sure, but sometime in June we'll have another kind of virtual convention like this, and definitely, if nothing else, we'll probably be doing a game of this again,
Oh yeah.
but possibly even some of our games like Trinity Continuum Anima, which are also being developed right now.
I've been making a list of all the games that I think we should play at that con, and
Ooh.
once that all goes through and we have a meeting about it, we will talk about it more. I am very
Absolutely.
excited.
So did anybody have any thoughts? Also, I mean, is there anything that you thought like didn't make sense, or anything you particularly liked about it, the specific Squeaks rules?
Actually, I have two questions about rats. So with the burrows skill,
Mhm.
it says that rats receive advantage on rolls using the traverse skill. Does
Mhm.
that automatically mean that rats automatically have the traverse skill, or is that something that you'll have to take?
No, you have to take the traverse skill to get advantage of it.
Okay.
Or situations where the traverse skill would be useful. So that is a good actual clarification. Because unlike D&D, you don't automatically have skills.
Right.
You have to pick them. This is Burrow, you said?
Yes.
I think the same for mice and stealth, actually.
And that one was Scamper.
Yeah.
I'll make a
I
note
mean,
of that.
I'll admit it here. I am not a mechanics head, and I wrote these, so.
No, but that is one thing that there is, because I've changed bits and pieces of it. There's just some things that I understand underpinning of it, but people who are very familiar with 5th edition don't always bring that nuance, and sometimes I don't always get when I'm reviewing it, particularly because sometimes I also work on 5e stuff, and so I even figured it myself. So as I developed them, I hadn't thought about that. Situations where the skill would be useful is you would still get advantage even though you don't have the skill. I may also actually, now that I say it, probably more option just give you the skill.
Yeah, like rats automatically have traverse and mice automatically
Yeah.
have stealth, which
seems
makes
like
sense for them as creatures. Like if you think about actual mice and rats, like you see rats like running up walls and stuff in the subways and things like that in New York, and mice hide. I've had mice under my stove more than once in my lifetime. mice I never saw, but man, did I hear them.
Right. No, yeah, then I'll kind of clarify that, because now that we talk it through, you're right. It should probably just be cleaner to just say you just have the skill, because otherwise it becomes, I get advantage in situations where I don't have the skill, but why do I have this advantage if I don't have a skill in it? So it just makes it cleaner to
Right.
say you have the skill. And probably remove the you have advantage part and say you get the skill.
Yeah, because I don't actually have stealth, but when we roll stealth earlier, I just rolled stealth because
Right.
of course I did.
And if I remember correctly, both of them also give you additional situational modifiers on top of the skill. So it makes it say you get the skill and also this additional situational modifier.
Yes. Rats
Yeah, they
receive
do.
advantage on rolls using the traverse skill while underground or in darkness, and increase their defense by their dexterity modifier in those same conditions.
Okay. Yeah, that probably would just be a lot cleaner to take care of.
Cool.
I noticed my psychic was kind of squishy, but all of his stuff was touch attacks, which made it pretty dangerous to dive in there and use anything.
Okay.
I don't know if there were a ranged spell that I didn't, or a ranged psychic attack that I just didn't have.
Yeah, you didn't have the one I have, the mental ray.
Oh, okay.
Because I have a 60-foot range one.
Okay. Yeah. Everything I
Right.
had was touch, and I had 7 hit points.
No, that was, I think that was more, I did not design that. I didn't make that character perhaps as efficiently as I could.
Okay.
But that is a good point. I may want to tweak those a little bit. I don't want to, I want to keep more touch attacks, because I think that D&D in general moves to range attacks a little too often. So I
Yeah.
wanted to have
I don't
more
like
of that.
Yeah. I would like, yeah, I like the aspect that it had, they were touch attacks, because I think spellcasters get a little too easy because you're just sitting there tossing spells from the back line, which.
But I may tweak Scamper to allow you to do disengage as a bonus action. Then that way you can rush up, touch it, and then back off.
Oh yeah, that'd actually be cool if that was
Yeah, that
part
would
of
be
it.
cool.
Yeah, especially if you've got a long tail, you could probably just whip it out and
Can you do
5-foot
touch
reach
attacks
tail.
with your tail?
Oh,
I just
We'll
imagine
clarify
a rat like turning their back on a monster
Wait,
and like
isn't
wiggling their
there
little
an-
butt.
I think I read that in one of the chapters. Yeah.
I'll have to
Just
clarify that,
didn't-
but I think so, but I'm not sure if it's written down. I'll have to double check that. But that's good. That's a good point.
I mean,
I
if so,
know-
it's not one that I wrote, but I like it.
In some of the general monsters, like having extra limbs or like a prehensile tail is like an actual ability that you can take or
Mhm.
you can choose from. So
Yeah, one thing I'm trying to avoid is it's very common in game design to have what's called feature creep or power creep, where each subsequent game gives you more and more powers and therefore makes you more and more powerful. And so one thing I'm trying to avoid is mice and rats becoming more powerful. And psionics do have a lot of advantages, particularly because every character either is a specific psychic class or has the default assumption of psychic aptitude, because all rodents have psychic aptitude to start,
Mhm.
as long as they're adventurers, I should say. So I wanted to, that's part of the reason why I have tails. So like it's always obvious. But separately, I want to make, that's why in general, mice and rats are going to be squishier. They're slightly easier to damage than cats, and dogs are the toughest. So your stamina points on a curve ultimately going to be dogs, then cats, then rodents, and even the rats are slightly more robust than mice. So having things like, okay, well, you have access to all these powers, but you can't use them as conveniently or as easily as, say, magic.
Mhm.
Hopefully balances that out, but I may have overcorrected on that. So this feedback's helping me to kind of tweak some of that. Another one is I think non-psychic classes get 4 powers to start as opposed to 5. I think that might be a little too much. I want to make sure that the psychic classes still
Yeah.
feel like they have a nice robust.
I mean, I didn't
Powers.
use 3 of mine, but I do have 5 or 4.
Right.
'Cause,
So
yeah,
I may pare that down to
like
2
2?
basics and 1 magnitude. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. Like I could see the case for my character having like mind scan and muse, but actually not having mental ray.
Mhm.
Because I feel like, you know, I made a rascal. They're supposed to be all rapiers and dually and big hats and stuff. And like being able to just cast mental ray every turn would be a little bit not with the theme, I guess. Like you should want to use your weapons. And yeah, the whole tail thing, like it is that feature creep that Eddie was talking about, where like if we do that, then do we go back and give it to lizards and cats and dogs, but not turtles? Or did the snakes get it? Like it's just a lot of like you have to kind of get semantic-y with it. And that's not fun, I guess.
could be a knack that you have to take. So that way it's an active
mean,
choice.
Maybe, but then like I said, it is retconning all the other games that with characters that
Mhm.
have tails.
Right.
And so yeah.
I'm not really experienced enough with rats and mice to be able to compare tails to dogs and cats. But I know that I've been hit with it by a tail of a happy pit bull and a happy boxer.
Oh god, boxer
And
tails are dangerous.
and have bruises on my leg to show for it in some cases. So yeah, those, I mean, some of those dog tails would be pretty powerful weapons if you go back and make those adjustments.
No, totally. Okay, well then, so let's go ahead and wrap things up because I'll make sure the next group has enough time to prepare. But once again, thank you all for participating. It is a huge help, and you've given me a lot of great information. I hope you guys had a good time playing this.
Great.
And
It was awesome.
other than that, thank you all for attending. Continue to enjoy everything else at Virtual HorrorCon. Please, if you can, donate to our charities, particularly to Black Girls Who Code and Blind Cat Rescue and Sanctuary. They're both great charities and definitely worth your time and energy. And with that, enjoy your con, be safe, and see you all tomorrow. Bye.